Democrats support. Donald Trump is the president in all the other states of America where the cost of living is way lower than in California. Obviously, it is way past time for change in California, and endlessly going on about Donald Trump doesn't serve the needs of the struggling families and small businesses.
Can you say whether or not he'd won the election?
Secretary Becerra, go ahead.
So Mr. Mahan chose to divert from answering the question about affordability to launch a tax. What I would simply say to him is, let's focus on who's raising the cost of living in California the most, and that's Donald Trump. The price of gas has gone up $1 to $2 because of Donald Trump and his war in Iran. The price of goods, groceries, have gone up in California because of Donald Trump's illegal tariffs.
You
Let's
see,
focus
all they
on
can
who's
say
raising
not
the
true. That's
All
just
they
not
got.
true. We've had the highest gas prices on average over
There's a way to make it louder.
than the rest of the nation for a very long time.
Antonio's
Trump's made
right
it
about
worse for sure,
Boys,
but it's not.
Boys.
Villarosa,
Enough.
Yeah, a bit
I'll get
more.
right back to you, but Congressman Porter, I mean, to this question in and of itself, you're a Democrat who served in Washington. What's your response?
Look, California does need to make changes. The world is changing around us. We are seeing AI come and present real challenges with jobs. The pace of climate change is real. We have an unreliable federal partner who's made clear that California is going to attack California. Donald Trump has not made any bones about that. This is a real opportunity for California to set its eyes on the future. We do need to make change in California. And it is ridiculous for Mr. Steyer to claim that he's the only candidate that has taken on corporations, when I will tell you there are a lot of CEOs
That's right,
who
first
who
last.
would beg to differ.
Thank you,
Can I
Congressman.
respond
Sheriff
to that?
Bianco, we haven't heard from you. Let me get your response.
Well, thank you. I just want to
Has Tom
answer
Steyer
the
talked yet?
question. Was why do Democrats deserve it? You
Steyer,
just
yeah.
listened to probably 10, 15 minutes of why they don't. We are going to get nothing but the same from them. They brought us here. Every single one of these career politicians brought us to the point where we are here today. They do not deserve another chance. They have broken us with endless regulations that have destroyed
Oh,
California,
Jesus
destroyed
Christ.
our
Shut
businesses,
up.
destroyed the cost of gas. We need a unbelievable change to get back. And unfortunately for all of them, I'm the only one on this stage that has spent a career making California lives better.
We're going to talk about the economy.
Sure.
We'll get you
Enforcing
in a
the
moment,
law.
Mr. Steyer, but we're going to go to you, Mr. Mayhem,
That
with this
Eugene
question
Village
and the issue of
people never off the
affordability. As
stage.
we know,
Hmm.
right now, gas prices across the country are
No kidding.
skyrocketing, due in part to the Iran
You turn up a
war,
little
the
bit more?
highest prices right here
Yeah.
in California. Mayor Mahan, it costs $6
Like when
right
you
now
talk,
or
it's much
more
louder.
to fill up
There you
your
go.
buy a gallon of gas in this state. Your opponent, Mr. Hilton, is promising to bring that price down to $3 a gallon in his first year in office. Is that realistic?
No, it obviously isn't. Look, I grew up in a farming town. I know what it means
This
when the
guy.
cost of gas goes up $1. People start actually having to make really tough trade-offs. Can you pay the rent? Can you put food on the table? And the only candidate in this race who has called for a suspension of the gas tax because
That's not true.
it disproportionately harms working families. We need to reform this tax and make sure EV owners and higher income earners are paying their fair share. But the truth is, Javier Becerra is misleading when he blames all of our cost issues on Donald Trump. I've fought against Trump. We've sued the Trump administration. We've blocked his cruel immigration enforcement tactics. But California's problems have been long running. We don't need more career politicians supported by the insiders in Sacramento. The truth is, we had the highest housing costs, highest energy costs, some of the highest unemployment and poverty rates in the country for years, long before Donald Trump ran for president. We need more pragmatic policies, removing regulations
That's right.
that are in the
Thank you,
way,
sir.
reducing fees.
Mr. Hilton, do you? And
I
then
like that he
Secretary
singled out
Becerra. Mr. Hilton.
Becerra.
So Matt says that it's obviously impossible to get to $3 gas, as I've laid out in my plan. Before the Iran war, there were 40 states in America with $3 gas or lower, most of which
talking
don't
about the Iran
have
war.
the abundant oil reserves that we have in California. But because of the policies supported by Matt and all these Democrats, we are now shipping oil halfway around the world, 7,500 miles from places like Iraq, instead of opening up California oil and gas production so we can reduce costs and get $3 gas in California, which is my plan.
You know why we
Becerra.
have those higher standards is because in places like Los Angeles, where we are today, it used to be that you couldn't breathe. Kids would have higher asthma rates. We have those higher standards for a reason. We can bring down costs
That's
over
exactly
time. but
right.
it's
Our
totally-
technology that's delivered
Totally
that, Matt, as you know.
unrealistic that you're going to have $3 gas in a year. You're lying.
Secretary,
Only in a Democrat.
Secretary Becerra.
Well, I'm fascinated to see people argue that we should get rid of the funding for the roads so we can take care of potholes, the highways, so we can make sure that we don't have massive congestion, or our transit systems, by getting rid of the one way we fund those systems the most, the gas tax. If we were to get rid of the Trump gas tax, we would be able to save ourselves about $1 to $2 at least, just in the Trump gas tax as a result of his war in Iran.
Objectively,
Let's start focusing
yeah.
where the real problem is. And yes,
objectively,
I'm going to
Mahan's
repeat
done
Donald
the
Trump as
best.
often as I have to, because he's the real menace we have in
You've
California.
got nothing else to say.
Steyer, your perspective.
So let me say this. This war in Iran has driven up the gas by at least $1.50. And the truth is, we should be taxing the oil companies because they are getting a windfall profit as a result of the war that the president that they put into office started for no apparent reason.
Yes,
We should
bingo.
be taxing that money. We should send it directly to California's pockets, not to the government of California. And let me say this, being in bed with oil companies is a mistake. Javier Becerra has taken the max amount of money from Chevron, and he has said they're good guys that we need. The truth of the matter is the oil companies are ripping us off at the pump. They're polluting our air and they're burning up the
Thank you, sir.
planet.
Secretary Becerra, your response.
That's true.
Yeah, it's a rich response from a guy who made his billions investing in fossil fuels, in oil
Kind of.
companies, in coal companies.
For the
Now
most
he makes
part.
the billions, and he has spent more than every other candidate combined in his campaign, using those profits to now try to buy his seat in the governor's office. Tom, the last thing we need is someone who makes riches from investing in oil companies and then accuse everyone else of doing the wrong thing.
Can I
Mr. Steyer.
Look, I
He
walked away
divested.
from my company 14 years ago
Yes.
so I could give back to California. I am the person on this stage who is fighting the oil companies. And the way that you know is they're spending millions of dollars to prevent me from getting elected.
Well, why
They
not
are
give back your
scared to
billions
death
of dollars
that
that
I
you
will let-
raised, that you
that I
made in
will make
profits?
polluters pay. And the truth of the matter is every environmentalist in this state has endorsed me.
All right, let's
And,
Yeah,
and the people who
true.
are opposing me, you can just follow the money. The oil companies, the electric monopolies are spending tens of millions of dollars against me. The environmentalists
That's
to a
exactly it.
person supporting me. That's what's going on in this election.
Let's talk about the
Damn.
proposed.
Yeah, no, he's
billionaire
right.
tax.
He's
Just
absolutely
last
right.
week, a one-time 5% tax on the assets of billionaires
I watched
cleared a
him on
critical hurdle to
Francesca
make the
show.
ballot in November, setting up a clash over what could be the nation's first wealth tax. Congresswoman Porter, Mr. Steyer, as we just referenced, is the only billionaire on the stage. He supports this tax. You do not. Why not?
Because I support good ideas, not things that help me dodge political potholes due to my own background. This billionaire's tax is simply not good tax policy. And anybody who has watched me in Congress take on bank CEOs, take on pharma CEOs, challenge them for the fact that their workers can't make ends meet while they're pocketing $26 million a year, knows that I will speak truth to power. And here is the truth. This tax isn't going to fundamentally change California's economy in the way that young people and the working people of California need. It's a one-time tax, but we don't have.
But it doesn't
one-time
hurt to
revenue
implement.
rates. It taxes billionaires as if half billionaires don't have two nickels to rub together and couldn't chip in a little bit more. And 90% of the money is dedicated to only one thing, when we have all kinds of revenue problems coming at us from our own decisions and Donald Trump.
It's dedicated to healthcare, so why
to a
not?
progressive tax code. Yes, to the wealthy paying more, but this tax
Yes, he is,
is about
Courtney.
cheap
I'll
political
talk
points.
about him in a
It is
minute.
not about really fundamentally changing California's economy for the better.
Thank
That's
you.
going to take real political
Thank you.
courage.
Mr. Steyer, just about cheap political points, your response.
No, I have said that billionaires like me should pay more taxes and the big
Mhm.
corporations should pay more taxes.
Excuse
Yeah.
me,
And
you
that's
literally
why
said
if this proposition is on the ballot in November, I'll vote for it. But going forward, we do need to go further. This is a one-time tax, and it also doesn't spread the money across the government the way everything else does. And specifically, it doesn't go to education and teachers and students, which
He's-
is a critical need in the
he's
state of
abs-
California.
You said this
The
before, yeah.
tax I'm proposing to close a corporate
you.
real estate tax loophole
Thank
is
you,
more
sir.
money
Wait,
and it's
I-
spread
I'm
throughout
I
the
have
only
not-
candidate
I
that's
have not
actually
gotten-
balanced two budgets.
Congresswoman.
I'm confused. Do you support the billionaire's tax that is going to be on the ballot in November? Yes or no?
Katie, I just said
I will vote for it if it's on the ballot in November.
So
And so what I've said is,
But you just
it
said it wasn't a
doesn't
good idea.
go far enough. That in fact, it is a one-time tax, and it also doesn't spread the money throughout the government. Look,
Let me
She
weigh
wants
in.
to pin him down, but
There's
she
a
can't.
candidate that's
Yeah,
actually
she didn't.
balanced
We're gonna-
two
She
budgets.
thought he had a
bring
different
Sheriff Young
position.
first,
No,
and then
yeah.
we'll get you, Mr. Chair. Sheriff Young.
Thank
She
you.
misread his
So
position.
these
Yeah,
Democrat
exactly.
policies of tax everybody to death and make them leave is how we started this program off to begin with. Everyone is leaving California. It is because of their horrific policies. I agree with Katie that this is a horrific tax bill, but she is wrong on one thing. This is not a billionaire tax bill. You just have to read it and read what it is. I have spent my career suffering the consequences of their decisions and their policy that they love talking about. I am the one that deals with it.
Yeah, that's right.
And this,
First
the
last.
140,000 people that are paying
Thank you.
50% of the taxes are going to leave. And then the wording of that
That is
bill
not true.
makes the middle class and the lower middle class make up all
That's
those
just
taxes.
Thank you,
not
sir. The
true.
next
Like
question
all
goes
the
to
evidence
Mr.
points that there's
Mayor
never a
Villaraigosa. In the last
mass
7 years,
exodus
Fortune
when this
500
happens.
companies
I
such
know.
as Oracle, Chevron, Charles Schwab, Palantir have all moved their headquarters out of California. Mayor Villaraigosa, your opponent, Congresswoman Porter,
Who is
here
this?
wants to raise taxes on the most profitable corporations. Would her plan lead to more businesses leaving the state?
Yes. But let me just say, I'm the only candidate on this stage that's actually balanced two state budgets
Nobody
and-
cares.
with a surplus and a
Nobody
tax cut.
fucking
And I
cares,
can tell
dude.
you this,
No.
we over rely on the upper income tax. That's why you have feast and famine virtually every year. So the problem with the billionaire tax, it's a one-time tax. It's flawed. If I believe that people that make that kind of money ought to pay more. In fact, when I'm governor, people like Tom who want to pay more will be able to do that. But at the end of the day, the federal government should do it because people are leaving, and they've been leaving because of the threat of this tax, just
it's
as
not
businesses have
true.
been leaving
It's just
because
not
of
true.
the high tax state that we are.
No, they're going to say
Congresswoman
that
Porter,
all
your
night.
response in terms of your tax
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, look, I think all taxes should be progressive. And I think that is a core principle. And families get this. When they get a bonus, when they earn a little more, they trip up into a different tax bracket and they have to pay more. That's all I'm suggesting we do for corporations. And by the way, not only would that say to the corporation that has a banner year and makes $1 billion, you pay not the same rate. Maybe you pay a tiny bit higher rate so that we can provide tax relief for families earning less than $100,000.
Mayor Mahan, your thoughts in terms of taxing businesses?
Yeah, look, where I differ with my Democratic colleagues is they're all talking about how to raise revenue, make government bigger. Secretary Becerra always brags about how big the $1 trillion budgets were that he managed. I'm interested in making government better. The answer isn't always bigger. In San Jose, without raising taxes, with a balanced budget, we got thousands of homes under construction. We moved thousands of people indoors and led the state in reducing homelessness. We made our city the safest big city in the country, reduced gun violence by 71%. Californians are tired of the more of the same
Yeah.
policies.
Thank
We also, I think
These
it's
are different.
disqualifying that we have Republican candidates who are embracing Donald
Right.
Trump's cruel and ineffective policies.
Let's go,
But-
Mr. Hilton, to you, and then we'll get Secretary Becerra in for his response. Mr. Hilton, disqualifying is what Mayor Mahan said.
It is.
There's a very simple truth, which everyone in California knows, which is that taxes are too high and we need taxes to be lower. And they're especially too high for working people in California. You got people on 70, 80, 90 grand in California, which doesn't get you very far, who are paying 9.3% state income tax. That is higher than the top rate in most other states. That's why my plan eliminates state income tax under 100 grand. And by the way, if you think that it can't get
Eliminates
worse in
it?
California, I've got two words for you. Tom Steyer. Under Tom Steyer, the taxes will be higher, gas prices will be higher, everything will be higher with Steyer.
Okay, we'll go to Steyer, then we'll go back to Becerra. Mr.
Okay.
Steyer.
I do think it's rich to hear someone talk about $3 gas who is owned by Donald Trump, who has driven up the gas price by at least $1.50. And I do think it's rich for somebody who is
Not as rich
supporting
as
a
you, Tom.
president who's kicking 1 to 3 million people off Medi-Cal, the poorest people, most vulnerable people in California, so that he can lower the taxes on the richest Americans and the biggest corporations. The truth of the matter is, what I stand for is shared prosperity, real growth, supporting businesses, but sharing it work so that the people in
Thank you.
California get what they need.
Thank you.
And going after corporate special interests is the way we're going to
Thank-
drive down costs. For
Thank you,
working
Mr. Steyer.
All
Secretary
right.
Becerra,
He's very
Mayor Mayhem
disciplined.
suggested
He's
that
been
you
very,
are
He's been
he's
great.
been
interested
very
in
been
growing
great.
the size
Yeah.
of government. He says he
The
wants
only
to cut it.
criticism is that
Your
he feels
response.
I didn't
pretty
say I
old.
want to cut it. I said I
Mhm.
want to use the revenue we have today to make government better.
All
We
right.
need to demand Sacramento do better before we ask working people to pay more. All of Tom
Yeah.
Steyer's proposals will just increase cost.
I
Secretary
think this
Becerra.
guy Mayhem has a future, but
Mayor
he's too
Mayhem
much
should
of a
take a look at my
centrist.
record and you'll realize that the
Yes.
largest health enterprise in the world, the Department of Health and Human Services, is big. It's because we have to make sure we're doing everything to improve the health care for 333 million Americans. And we balanced our budget 4 years in a row. So, Matt, here's the thing. I've been able to balance budgets much larger than your city of San Jose and make sure that we continue to improve healthcare for more Americans. But on the issue of taxes, here's the point. Everyone should pay their fair share. No one can claim that a CEO who's making more than 1,000 times more than their line workers is paying their fair share. And Tom, one of these days, let us know how much money you have in the Cayman Islands so we can make sure we tax you your fair share.
Okay, I'm going to answer that because I pay full taxes on everything. I'm invested in all over the world, and I pay full California and U.S. taxes on absolutely everything. That's not fair. But what is fair is this:
And we'll
I'm
get-
going to drive down costs. The idea
You,
that
you
Matt
use
said,
every
I'm
tax
gonna drive
loophole
down costs
available.
by
You pay the
going
lowest
at-
tax
I am
rate
going to
of anyone
drive
on this
down
stage.
costs by going after the electric monopoly that no one else here
They're
will
not
take
going
on.
to.
We're going to introduce.
Yeah,
We're going to introduce competition.
can't,
I'm going to go
or
after
else
the oil
Trump will go
companies,
after them.
make them pay for their pollution, and have a windfall.
Trump endorsed
profits tax.
Hilton.
I am going to drive down costs for working people,
Yeah.
and that will not only work for them, it will work for the corporations
thank-
to
thank-
employ them and make them more competitive.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. Mr. Mayhem, your chance.
Yeah, I have to go back to this point about it's not always about the size of the budget or how big government is.
But being able
What
to
did we-
balance it is
so-
an important
so,
point.
yeah, but
Matt.
Javier,
I think you have to admit that.
Here's what I would ask you to acknowledge, which is you keep referencing your experience as your main qualification, but what have those 30 years of experience gotten us?
More
AG,
Americans insured than
healthcare-
ever. in
no,
the
hold on,
history
let
of
me
the
finish, let me
country. Well,
finish.
you asked the question.
Higher and less affordable healthcare that's
Actually, not on my watch. We
squeezing out.
reduced the price
No,
of
we did
healthcare
not.
on my
Healthcare
watch.
costs have gone up relentlessly.
You haven't
health
talked to the millions
outcomes,
of Americans
health-
we helped
If
insure.
I could just finish my point.
Well, you have to
health-
make sure you say
healthcare-
something that's factual.
Okay, it's pretty. You go look at the data. Healthcare costs
That's right.
are
Look at the
up.
data. We were able to
Health
get more
out-
Americans insured than ever in the
Do you
history
mind
of
if
the
I just finish the point?
Mr.
And
Mayor,
then-
Becerra
finish your
can't
point.
let him
We're
finish.
really-
Because he knows he's right.
Let
He
me
knows
really-
Mayhem
let me
as a
points. Yeah, I'll
point.
just
Can we
make it
talk about
quickly
the
and then you
issues
can
and not-
respond.
I'm
So,
going to be prepared to fact check, though.
when it's your turn, go ahead. So
God.
higher healthcare costs that are squeezing families today,
Mhm.
worse health outcomes, and as fraudulent and wasteful spending in healthcare grew, Javier Becerra did nothing as AG and as
Gotta
HHS
fact check that
secretary.
one.
Well, it's as bad as ever, and you've been in a career politician.
That's
So-
time.
Part of the
Secretary Becerra.
administration.
Totally untrue. Man, that sounds like a MAGA talking point. Listen,
Oh my
it's
God, he's so
100%
upset.
under my watch, more Americans gained health coverage than ever in the history of the country, more than 300 million. Under my watch, we were able to give folks access to the Obamacare insurance policies on the marketplace for, in some cases, $10 or less a month in premiums. Today, those are skyrocketing and people are losing those premiums and insurance coverage because Donald Trump abandoned those healthcare subsidies.
Thank you, Secretary.
Learn the
Becerra.
facts, Matt, before you start talking
We're
on the
going to
stage.
come back to healthcare because obviously it's a huge topic for everyone in this state. I want to turn to another critical issue, not just in California, but also in the entire nation, which is immigration, as all of you know. Mr. Hilton, right now, President Trump is enacting a policy of mass deportation. As you know, roughly half of California farm workers, which are an essential part of this state's economy, are undocumented. As governor, would you push to deport them?
So I'm the only immigrant on stage. I'm a legal immigrant, and Americans support immigration when it is properly controlled. And what we saw under the Biden administration, open borders, undermined everybody's support
Border
for
was never
immigration.
open.
And as governor, I've made it very clear, although it is the federal government's responsibility to determine and implement immigration policy, I think it's important that all the laws are peacefully enforced. And as governor, I would make sure that we work with the federal government to enforce our laws.
So
That
you'll
is what
deport
people
them.
expect.
So just
That
to
is what
clarify,
people
Mr. Hilton,
expect.
do you support deporting those undocumented farm workers?
The policy on deportation is the exact same policy that we saw with President Obama. In fact, the numbers of deportations right now in our country and in California are slightly
But just to
lower.
clarify
than
your
Can you answer
position,
the
just
question?
to clarify
I've
your
answered the
position.
question, which is I will work.
Will you
with-
deport them?
It's
That
not
was the question.
well
You
with you,
can't
Antonio,
answer
because the governor of California, as you know, doesn't make that decision. It is the president of the United States elected by the country.
Will you oppose them?
determines-
Six
that
of the
determines-
people here don't even know who deports anyone. They just want emotions to rule the day, so you support them because they don't even know what the governor can and can't do. Or if they do, they're lying to you.
Congresswoman Porter,
God.
I can't believe that on a stage with 30 minutes of interrupting and bickering and name calling and shouting and disrespect for everyone up here who's stepping into public service, that anyone wants to talk about my temperament.
What? What the
You were
fuck?
actually interrupting them too. I don't know why you want to act like you weren't.
Oh, cowboy.
Steve and I sat here smiling at each other because we're just watching you all.
No one
prove
was
to everyone
talking
why
about
they
it. Was
can't
that
vote for
even
a
brought up
Democrat.
once?
What?
Exactly.
That was
I'll
so
answer the
weird.
question.
That was
Congresswoman Porter, first
oh,
up, do
that
you want
was
to
so
respond to that?
forced. That was
Mr.
so
Bianco?
forced.
Yes, I did not interrupt. I did not go back and forth. Mr. Bianco, you've been
This
very
is-
well behaved tonight, especially compared to CBS, and I actually appreciate it that you've been waiting your turn and following the rules. And I would appreciate it if everybody could do that. Because
what
I think
the fuck are
Californians
you
are actually
talking
owed
about?
some answers to questions.
This
We were
whole
told we
debate
can
is like a
interject.
huge left
Congresswoman
turn.
Porter, on the question itself,
Yeah,
on
can we get
these
can we get
farm
back to
workers,
what
which are
was
a
Yeah, let's
big
get
part
back
of,
on
of
track here,
California's
guys.
economy. What's your answer to that? As Mr. Hilton is saying, it's the
Katie
decision
felt
of
like
the
she
federal
getting
government.
enough attention.
It's the job of the governor to protect every
Mhm.
single Californian, period. There
That's
are
exactly
no
right.
qualifications on that.
Are
Yeah,
you
yeah,
doing
exactly.
that? Are you doing that by having a sanctuary state policy? Absolutely not. And
Yeah.
I was on the stage telling
Yes.
everyone what was going to
I would
result
like to get
from
one
sanctuary state,
complete
and it's forcing
answer.
forcing
you
us to be
interrupt.
less safe.
May
Okay.
I give an answer?
Go ahead,
It's the
Congresswoman.
She's
job
such
of
a-
the California
like, come
governor
on.
to
Yeah.
protect every single
up.
Californian. The
Mhm.
sanctuary state policy is designed to make sure that our state resources, the taxpayer dollars, the public servants that we have are focusing on doing their jobs, which is not cooperating with the federal immigration authorities. These are Californians. They contribute to our economy, they pay taxes, and they're one of the only ways that our state has been growing in recent years.
Mayor Villagarosa.
Not to be
Ragosa?
derogatory, but she's
know,
really got like bitch
You
elementary
say
school
you're a
principal
sheriff,
energy.
and I know you are, but you clearly don't know what the sanctuary law does.
I'm
In
the
fact-
only
in
one up
fact,
here
excuse
that has
me,
to work with it.
Mr. Bianco, excuse me. The fact is, since 2019, the state has turned over 12,000 violent criminals to the federal government. Sanctuary law does not protect violent criminals in the way that you constantly say they do.
Oh, yes,
we've
it
turned-
does.
We've turned over, this state has turned over 12,000 criminals. I'll tell you what I think is illegal is a sheriff of Riverside County
Bring it up.
sequestering
Bring it up.
Yeah.
It's
votes,
because you're
thousands
lying
of
to
votes
people.
in the way that you did.
It's because you're
and
lying
the
to people
Supreme
right
Court,
now.
Court said that you
No,
shouldn't
they
have done
didn't.
it in the first place.
No, they didn't.
Why are you
Interject
being
something.
sued?
Caitlin, can I go?
Go ahead,
Caitlin.
Mr. Becerra, Secretary Becerra.
So I'm the only one who actually has experience taking on Trump in the way he's handling undocumented immigrants, because when he was president the first time, I was the attorney general, and we took him on straight on in court. We stopped him from trying to force local law enforcement to do the bidding of ICE. We were able to make sure we protected the DACA program for our dreamers all the way to the Supreme Court, and we beat Donald Trump. What we have to do is make sure that Trump cannot invade California, and you can't stop him if you've got a governor like Steve Hilton, who is his dad. Donald Trump's his daddy, and he will protect them all the way through.
Thank you, Secretary Becerra. Mr. Hilton, I'll let you respond to that, and I have a question for you, Mr. Steyer, after that.
I don't want to respond to silly name calling, but I'd like to actually respond to something Katie said. And I think it's probably a sincere policy difference between us. She said something very revealing, which is the only way really that California's economy has been growing in the last few years is through illegal immigration. And I just don't think that's the right way for us to be growing. I think we need to help small businesses create jobs and opportunity, and for Californians to be able to earn more and live the California dream, and for entrepreneurs to want to start businesses in California. That's how we should be growing our economy, not by illegal immigration.
Congresswoman Porter.
I mean, given that you're an immigrant and you added to our
A legal
population,
immigrant.
and we're all having to live with the consequences of that decision.
That's,
Katie,
that's a
there's
good
difference,
quip.
I
I'll
think
give her
you're
that.
upset between legal and illegal immigration.
Yes, and I wasn't referring to what I was saying, that immigration has been a major source of growth in California's economy, and that is true.
Thank
Okay,
you,
let me say
Congresswoman.
this.
Mr. Steyer, I've got a question for
Illegal
you
or
on
otherwise.
immigration, because you want California's attorney general to be able to hold both ICE agents and their leadership criminally liable for what you say is, quote, violent illegal conduct on the job. Does that include the former DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, who oversaw the ICE operations in Los Angeles last year?
Yes.
Look,
Yeah.
the governor of California should hold people accountable who break the laws of California, specifically including ICE agents and the people who send them to racially profile, which is illegal, and use violence against Californians, which is illegal. And it should go up the chain to the supervisors, right up to Stephen Miller. If
Mhm.
he's sending people to racially profile and hurt Californians or kill Californians, he should be held liable. It is not legal for federal agents to come to California and break the law. It is absolutely critical that California's governor does stand up for everyone in California. That in fact, ICE to me is a criminal operation. I've said all along, we should abolish ICE. It's
Yeah.
breaking
Yeah.
the law.
There
It's
you
There we
done
go, yeah.
deliberately
Go.
To
Mhm.
break the law. And that's why I'm
Absolutely.
saying we should hold them accountable. We should inspect the detention centers that they have in secret.
So just to
We should have
clarify,
a
Mr.
legal
Steyer,
defense fund.
Yes.
Yes,
yes.
I don't know. I would go all the way up the chain. I've gone as far as Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller should be held accountable for what the ICE agents
What
do
about
in
Kristi
California that he
Noem?
sends.
but just to clarify, since Kristi Noem was the Senate confirmed Department of Homeland Security Secretary, do you believe that she is someone who should be prosecuted?
If
Yes.
she has given the orders to break the law in California. Yes.
Yeah.
Sharon
Caitlin, I have
Bianco,
to
what's
be
your
able
response to
to
that?
Yeah, it's a weird
No
question.
one has broken the law in California. And this is why we fight in the streets and people are out rioting, burning down Los Angeles, because
yeah, that
politicians
wasn't
like
actually
this
happening, dude.
sit and lie to everyone. They get them all infuriated up with emotion because they don't want to tell the truth. ICE agents are enforcing the law.
Oh my God.
And sanctuary state policy, Democrats forced ICE into our cities and
yeah,
streets
you're
and
damn right,
neighborhoods
exotic
to find
cricket.
these criminals. And
Yep.
I want
Apologize.
Apologize.
Mr.
Apologize.
Villaraigosa to tell the mother of the
Fuck guys.
14-year-old
Fuck anyone who
in my
supports
county
ICE.
that is dead because of an illegal immigrant that had been deported 3 times because of DUIs, that sanctuary state policy keeps us safe. I don't think she's going to agree with you. And the mother of my dispatcher that was killed is not going to agree
Mayor
with you.
Villaraigosa, do you want to
If an
respond?
undocumented worker killed somebody, he should go to jail. He should be prosecuted.
It's too late, don't you think? How about the 3 DUIs
wanna let
before
me
that?
finish?
No,
Or do you want to
because
be the
no,
bully that you always are?
no, I
There you
don't.
go.
You know, you're an oath keeper. We all know that.
And I'm very proud of it.
No, well, you
I'm
should-
very proud of
I'm
it. And
sorry.
guess what? You're
I'm
going to
sorry.
swear an oath, and you swore an oath. You should know what you were
Well,
swearing
I'm
and be
sorry.
proud of defending
I
it.
don't think an oath keeper is qualified to be governor.
I don't think you
Yeah.
know what an oath keeper
But
is.
let me
God.
answer the question. I said, if an undocumented person committed murder,
Yeah,
they
I
should
didn't
be
know that
held
either,
accountable.
Josh.
They should go to
Wow,
jail.
yeah.
And you keep on saying that sanctuary prevents violent criminals from
No,
being
I didn't.
turned over.
I said it prevents
In fact,
criminals.
as I said earlier,
I said it prevents criminals. Don't
No,
lie for
in
me.
fact, as I said earlier, thousands have been turned over since 2019.
Obviously,
And
not
but
enough.
Steve Hilton, let me be clear. You know, I know you're recently arrived to California, but if you've read the Bay Area Institute, the UC Merced study, immigrants, if
Thank
we
you,
took
Mr.
them
Mayor.
all out, including the undocumented, it would be a $274
Thank you,
billion
Mr. Mayor.
hit to the
Caitlin-
California
Sheriff Bianco,
economy.
just to follow up on what you were just
Yeah,
saying.
not to
there,
mention
you
the-
said you're a
the-
proud oath keeper. Are you referring to the group?
I've sworn an oath 3 times to
Or you're
defend my
referring to taking
constitution.
an oath and as
Yes,
your
and
job?
everybody that wants to, like, again, lie and emotionally get all spun up about the Oath Keeper organization, I just
Oh,
would, before you
he's
do
not
that,
denying
I know
it.
none of you have. I want you to go read the mission statement of the Oath Keeper
Oh
mission
my
statement and
I
the
God.
saw them on
ACLU.
CNN attacking the
And the-
Capitol.
and the ACLU. I saw a politician molesting kids. Does that mean you molest kids? Exactly.
What
Don't
the-
pull
the
those
fuck are you
stupid
talking-
statements out and
Sir,
expect to not
sir,
be
you're
called
no-
out.
You're gonna bring it up
Bianca,
and like,
have no
clear.
reason to.
There is
you're not
absolutely
Call him a white
qualified to be
trash
governor
Nazi.
of California.
Call him
I
white
am
trash.
extremely proud of swearing an oath to defend my constitution against politicians like this.
And do you still consider yourself a member of that group, to be clear?
No.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff Bianco. Secretary Becerra, on the question itself, do you
God, why
also
you even
support
here, bro?
prosecuting the
Yeah, what a
leadership of
piece of
ICE?
shit.
I think we should police Donald Trump's masked mercenary force that they
Yes,
call ICE.
Josh.
I think we should prosecute any of the forces that violate the law. And I think we should jail anyone who has violated the law. That goes all the way to the top.
I
If
agree.
anyone has violated the laws of California, they should serve time.
And I'm telling you, no one has.
That's, there are two people who are dead in Minneapolis because they were simply doing
Don't
their
lie.
civic duty and being able to
Your
act
civic
under the
duty is
Constitution.
bringing a gun and fighting with cops. Your
That's not
civic
what
duty
fucking
is to try
happened,
and
you
run
piece of
over
shit.
cops. Come on.
That's not what happened
You've
either.
already been
You
called
obviously
out
lot of
have
those
your other
keepers
difference.
brought
evidence-
guns to
the
the
evidence will
Capitol,
come out.
Mr.
Let's
Bianco.
just be
The
honest.
evidence has
Sheriff
been
Bianco,
out.
as the member of law enforcement here, last week the Department of Justice sued the state of New
God,
Jersey
how unlike a
because
fucking
the
cop
governor
lying
there
his ass
signed
off.
into law a mask ban for ICE agents. A similar law in California was blocked last month. Do you believe that ICE agents who are conducting immigration enforcement should be able to wear a mask when they're on the job?
I believe that the state of California doesn't get to dictate what they do. Would I do I allow my deputies to do that in certain circumstances? So the answer would be, I guess, yes, because depending on the circumstances that the federal government has jurisdiction over that, they can decide what they want to do. My deputies doing their work don't do that, but there are some circumstances where deputies and police officers would do that. So if we're honest and talk about what this really does and what it is, everyone would come up with a logical answer. But when you talk about emotions and you fire off emotions and
Well,
untruths,
hypocrite.
I
You're
think they
being
get
you're
offended
the
with
most
lies, but
emotional person here
untruths,
so
then
far.
you just confuse and
I know.
But
and
Chad,
mess
you're
up the
not
entire thing.
you're not being honest about the impacts.
That's
Look,
a chilling
I was
answer.
just
Yeah, that's a chilling answer.
There is
yeah,
no
I mean, look,
impact.
it's we can all agree that we should have a secure border. If you're committing serious and violent crime, deportation is the consequence. But I was just in the fashion district on the side of downtown Los Angeles, where I met with small business owners who have tears in their eyes because they don't have customers anymore, because Donald Trump's cruel and indiscriminate enforcement based on the color of people's skins, the language they're speaking, it has terrorized a community. It's targeting the Latino community. It is disproportionately
Thank
impacting
you,
our
Mayor
immigrant
Mahan.
neighbors.
Congresswoman Porter, what's your view? What's your response?
Donald Trump sucks. And I don't think that anyone who doesn't see that he is targeting and hurting Californians and won't stand up for everybody who is counting on them to be their leader and keep them safe has no business being governor.
Congresswoman Porter, thank you for
Very
that.
simple.
Mr. Hilton?
Antonio mentioned me earlier and said I just recently arrived. It's true. I arrived here in 2012 with my wife and my two sons. But what's interesting is that I don't think there's an appreciation of the difference between legal and illegal immigration. I've spent many, many times right here in East LA, where we are, with legal immigrants, with families of legal immigrants who really resent the unfairness that we're seeing in California, where you have illegal immigrants who are getting free
Thank you, Mr.
benefits,
Hilton.
housing, welfare, and they say to me, look, we did it the right way.
That's
We
not
worked
true.
hard.
That's
We
Thank you,
came
Mr.
out
it's
the
Hilton.
right way.
bullshit.
Candidates,
yet
don't worry.
We are not getting fairness, and we need to restore fairness in our system.
That's
Thank you, Mr. Hilton. And candidates, don't worry, we have many more questions to come up from both of us ahead.
my
Much
God.
more of CNN's California governor primary debate right after this.
Well, this is spicy.
I'm not gonna give.
The
their
ads.
advertisers
Fuck no,
any
of
help.
course. Yeah, very interesting so far.
So far, yeah, fairly interesting. I mean, overall, it's disappointing that we don't have a real progressive in this race that
Yeah.
isn't a billionaire. But
Yeah.
I mean, as my fellow Democratic socialists have told me, that I agree with is Tom Steyer is the least bad option.
Mhm.
And to those who say, "Oh, he's a billionaire, we can't trust him," I think Tom Steyer has made what I like to call the great revelation once you get over 60, which is that you're going to die someday. And when you die, your reputation becomes your legacy. And Tom Steyer wants to go down as a public servant, not as a billionaire. And so I
Yeah.
believe him when he says he wants to deliver on all these promises. Whether or not he can is debatable. But I tell you what people are sick of hearing
Mhm.
is the arguments against proposals for change. Oh, we can't
Yes.
do that. Oh, we can't pay for that. People are sick of hearing that shit.
Yes, yeah, and the fact that he actually is forceful in in his message and actually points to structural issues being the main the being the main focus. They should be the main focus, absolutely. And he's said on various programs. I just watched his appearance on the Bituation Room today with Francesca Fiorentini. And on there, and even when he appeared on Hassan Piker's podcast a month or so ago, he made it clear. Like, I mean, me and my wife made the agreement. This is just quoting him, that I don't want to die a billionaire. I want to give away all my
Right.
money. I want to actually make a change. I want to. I mean, there's a reason why he divested from the
Private
businesses.
prisons and the
Yes.
fossil fuels. Yeah.
Yeah, he obviously no longer a hedge fund manager, and it's been that way for over 14 years now. You know, he actually did make a change, but people still, you know, bring up his past as if like he hasn't actually worked to remedy that. He hasn't worked to actually correct his mistakes.
Well, let's deal with this.
Mhm.
So, my man, we wouldn't be raising taxes on you or raising taxes on the super rich.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So,
So
unless you're a multimillionaire, you got nothing to worry about as far as the tax increases that people are advocating here.
yeah, like you wouldn't be affected. That's the thing. It's like I mean, for one, like I would assume your yearly salary is just 5 figures, maybe 6. You know, I mean, California, there's a lot of wealth to go around, and a lot of people here make more money than other states. But still, we're talking
He's
about
talking about all the current taxes now.
right.
Well,
The thing is, the proposal that was being discussed earlier in the debate would affect people with 10-figure net worths, basically.
Right.
Like you,
so you could give tax relief to other people.
yeah, like you would tax
Right.
them more because they don't fucking need it.
Right.
What do they need that for? Like just to sit on? That's the entire thing.
Yeah.
That's the entire point. We're in the middle of a new Gilded Age where there is such income disparity in wealth inequality to where that could actually go to good things. We can actually see single payer healthcare in California, which Tom Steyer supports, by the way, as well as investments in housing and education and infrastructure. You know, it's not like the other candidates on the stage don't have that authenticity. From what I can see, you know, Chad Bianco is authentically a fucking crybaby and a bully, but
Yeah, he's a white trash bully.
yeah,
He's
what a
like
what a
the
piece
exact
of
person-
fucking shit that guy is.
He's the
Why-
the worst stereotype of a cop.
I'm surprised
like-
he's even on this stage. Like isn't he like being
The
sued
Fu
right now?
Manchu, the guy's abusive.
Yeah,
The
no,
guy's dad
I-
definitely beat the shit out of him.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. That's been you got. I don't trust anybody with a Fu Manchu. Maybe that's just like a personal thing, but fuck that shit, dude.
We've got some love for Becerra in here. I think he's got some money issues.
No,
He's taking some money from his
Yeah, well, yeah.
establishment as fuck.
Yeah, he's in the pocket
He's
of Chevron
actually
big time.
yeah, exactly. He's all kinds of establishment. That's the
Yeah.
thing you do have to give Tom Steyer credit for is he is anti-establishment.
Yeah,
He is anti-establishment.
he's really like the anti-Trump in a way because he does come from a place of privilege, and
Okay,
he has a
so
lot
yes,
of.
this is true, Cordinunia. This is true, but
We
he's
address
trying
this.
to use his money to be influential in a positive way.
Yeah,
If you go into the details, because if you go to the details, you
Mhm.
realize Tom Steyer is actually pretty well intended. Here
and
we
people
go.
need to remember too, like he ran for president in 2020, and he actually
Right.
was one of the more progressive candidates.
He was.
Congresswoman Porter, you recently put out an email, a fundraising email with the subject line F Trump. And you're not censoring it like I am right now. And you went on to say, quote, that's right, F Trump. Together, we're going to kick Trump's ass in November. Will F Trump be your guiding principle in dealing with the president?
Yes.
When Donald Trump hurts California, as he has again and again, then I will absolutely stand up to him 100%. He has denied wildfire funding to help disaster victims here in California. He has made it clear that he is seeking to specifically punish California in canceling green energy projects here that create good, high-paying jobs while he's
Yep.
allowing them to continue in other states.
Dismantling the National
We
Park
absolutely
Service.
have to be clear about the risk that Donald Trump presents to Californians and to our economy and to our ability to change California for the better. So if he's going to attack California, yeah, F him.
Mr. Hilton?
I think the next governor of California will have to work with the administration and with the president that the American people elected to get good results for Californians. And by the way, my
Translation:
attitude
kiss his
will be
ass more.
to work with the president regardless of party to get good results for Californians. Now, it so happens that we have a president who has endorsed me for governor, and we've discussed how I can work with his team to lower gas prices in California by opening up energy production, to reduce wildfire risk by proper forest management, to get
It's
the
a
fraud
contradiction.
and the waste
Thank you,
out of
Mr.
our
Hilton.
state budget so we can cut taxes. These are all practical ways we can work together to help everyone
Thank you, Mr.
in
Hilton.
California
Secretary
watching.
Becerra, what's your view
I don't
of that
necessarily
as someone who
disagree, Susan.
served in the federal government?
Well, I served and we helped the state of California when I was at the Department of Health and Human Services. But when I was Attorney General, when Trump was president the first time, we took him on. Every time he tried to attack our state, when he tried to force us to do things that were against the law, when he tried to deny us our resources, we took him on. That's why I had to go
Yeah.
toe to toe with him in court over 120 times. And most of those cases, we were able to win. I will tell you this, whether it was on women's health care, whether it was protecting immigrants' rights, whether it was defending our environmental laws, we took him on. And because Donald Trump doesn't understand the laws very well, we were able to beat him over and over, including taking the Affordable Care Act all the way to the
Thank you,
Supreme Court
Secretary
and
Becerra.
defending it.
Mayor Mahan, on that fundraising email and that phrasing that the Congresswoman used, I mean, do you believe that F Trump is a good guiding principle as the governor of California in working with the federal government?
Caitlin, look, my approach is to fight for our values. As mayor of San Jose, I've sued the Trump administration multiple
Yeah,
times, increased funding for our immigrant neighbors who are under
That's
attack.
why I said, like,
We've
enlightened
prohibited ICE from
censorship is a
using city
scam, dude.
property as a staging area. But I will also never forget that the
We'll talk
best
about that next
resistance
week.
is delivering results, showing that California's progressive values work in practice. That's what I've done as mayor. One of the only people on this stage who can point to real results that matter in people's lives.
Yeah,
Safest
he's
big city in the
calculated.
country. 1/3 fewer homeless people. Thousands of homes under construction.
Thank you, Mayor Mahan.
Thousands of new small businesses. Real results, not a lot of rhetoric. That's not going to beat Donald Trump.
Sheriff Bianco?
I agree,
Yeah, I
Nazareth.
promise every single person out there that you're not going to hear one word from me about President Trump, President Biden, or anything else, because I'm going to be the only one on the stage that's
You've
actually
been
going to be the
complaining
governor
about
of
Biden all
California
night.
for Californians. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you and blame somebody else for our problems that have been absolutely caused by 70 years of Democrat rule in the Assembly and Senate and 16 years of one party rule by their policies, their things that they put in place that have destroyed the ability to live
Thank
in
you, Sheriff
California.
So you
Mr.
will
Steyer,
blame.
what's your
So
take on
you
this?
will blame them, but
Look,
you won't.
I started an organization in 2017 to impeach Donald Trump because I've been in enough
remember
boardrooms
that.
to know a crook when I see one, and he is a crook. And what we can see that he's doing now is he's sending in ICE agents to racially profile and harass Californians. He started a war that's driving up our gas prices, is taking tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars that we need for schools and for healthcare away from us. He's kicking people off healthcare. The truth of the matter is the governor of California is supposed to stand up for Californians against anyone. And that is exactly the only thing that Donald Trump,
Thank you, Mr. Steyer.
the only thing he respects is strength. He's a bully. And the only thing you can do is
Yes.
stand up to him.
All right.
Yes.
Now let's turn more about the health.
Yeah, Mahan's like very tied
Millions
with
of
big
people
tech.
are dropping insurance coverage after Congress allowed Obamacare subsidies to expire. In California, new enrollments are down 32%. Secretary Becerra, in late March, you said you'd, quote, deliver a state-run, publicly funded healthcare program for every Californian. But in a recent meeting, you reportedly told a group of doctors that you are not supporting single payer right now. So which is it? Would you push for single payer as governor or not?
Oh, let's be clear. I've been consistent for over 30 years. When
That's
I was
how
in
you
Congress,
know
I
he's
talked
lying.
about how Medicare for all is probably the most efficient way that we can do healthcare, and I have always been there. I haven't changed, and so those reports were inaccurate.
So
I
support
continue to
single
be
payer.
for Medicare for all, and I can show you how I have actually expanded healthcare because those very subsidies that you mentioned are what help us reach record levels of Obamacare coverage. More than 24.5 million people
Thank you, Pep
under
Talk.
our watch were able to get their health insurance coverage. That is now going down because Trump has denied people the chance to have those subsidies. And the Republicans and Mr. Hilton, who has been endorsed by Donald Trump, haven't said whether they would fight to help those Californians regain their coverage. And so, Steve, will you support having those tax subsidies for Obamacare returned to those Californians who are losing their insurance today?
We didn't get an answer.
We're gonna. First, I just want to clarify real quick, and then we'll get you guys in. So, as governor, you're pushing for a single payer system in California.
We should try to get to a Medicare for all program. And while we are continuing to work in that direction, we
It's
should make sure
CalCare,
we are
isn't it?
expanding coverage because the
I'm
most
not
important
sure.
thing we have to do is
Yeah, it's
give
CalCare.
people peace of mind that they can afford their health care and that we will continue to give it to more
thank you,
families.
sir.
You're
Mr.
sketchy
Steyer.
as fuck.
Look, I am for single payer. Absolutely, because the only way we can deliver healthcare as a right at a cost that California can afford. And that's why the nurses support me. I was with them this morning. They know that I will fight for single payer until we get it. And maybe those reports were wrong, Javier. But the truth is, the
And they
group
were.
you are with, the California Medical Association, is the strongest group against single payer in the state.
Whoa.
And they just
Mhm,
spent
mhm.
the maximum amount of money. They maxed out to your campaign after that meeting. So somebody didn't
Mhm.
understand something because they are supporting you with the max amount of money that they can give.
Secretary Becerra responds, then Congresswoman Porter.
Yeah. And so a guy who is funding his campaign to a tune of over $150 million with profits made from oil companies, from
Oh no, you're
helping
saying Tom
fund,
Steyer's being bought by
private
Tom
for-profit
Steyer?
prisons that are detaining immigrants in California, has a real short memory span of how to make sure this place works.
Bro,
I
shut
continue
up.
to enjoy the support of healthcare sectors throughout California, doctors, nurses. I've
And
got the
big oil.
endorsement of nurses as well, and I will continue to fight to make sure everyone
Yes,
has access
very
to
much
good
so.
quality healthcare in
Platinum's
California, as I
awesome.
proved it when I was Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Congresswoman Porter.
Well, golly gee, I also have the endorsement of nurses. So three's a crowd. And the question I think is trying to aim at, do you support CalCare?
Yes.
California
Thank you.
having its own state-run single-payer system, yes or no?
Is that a question I
Sure,
can get to?
go ahead.
As I said, when I was
Yes.
Secretary of Health and Human Services,
I
was
I
Uh,
like my
they
Is
do
that-
this
is
all
that-
the time.
is that-
They
is that a
can't.
yes or no?
I'm
Ridiculous.
answering the question. Okay, so
Fucking-
the most important
He
thing about
knows.
having a
Question.
He
Medicare for all
can't say
plan
yes,
is
or
that
else
it includes
yoink goes
all
his
everyone
funding.
for all. And what we have to do is get to the point where we are covering everyone with something like Medicare for all. So I am
That's what
absolutely
CalCare
for
is, you
Medicare for
fucking
all,
idiot.
Holy
and we will
fuck,
get there.
dude.
We'll build towards it because that's the way you get
He's
folks
sketchy,
covered.
dude.
And that's the way I did
No,
it.
it's like he's
Porter,
awful.
Yeah,
Very
it's
good.
super
Congresswoman.
sketchy.
Covering
awful.
everyone
Right,
with
why would you not be
something
for it?
is not single payer. It's not even federal
Yeah,
Medicare for
Katie
all.
is kind of cuckoo.
But you
yeah.
won't say that whether you support California having its own state-run single payer system. Look, Tom ran against single payer
I'm
in his
starting to think that
presidency
too. Everything
before he
AI.
changed his mind and has decided
Yep,
to run
that's
for
exactly
single
right.
payer. I'm not disputing that, Tom. I'm making
I
sure
know one
everyone
of them.
knows, and you've been consistent
wanna
on this
answer it.
point. You've been consistent.
I'm going to
Wait,
answer that.
But I
No,
want
you're done.
Javier
Thank you, Fork
to
Monk.
answer the question. Do
Sure.
you support California having its own single payer system? Yes or
And
no?
Katie, the answer there is that Californians don't care what you call it so long as they have affordable health care that they can use to take their child to the doctor
Yeah.
or the hospital
Well, I'd
when
like to
they
use
need
my
it.
Alright.
magic
Yeah, I think that's
wand
a
and
good
give
call.
everybody affordable.
Wait, it's Mayor
Yeah.
Virgos's turn. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, I believe in
I mean, he served
that
under
healthcare
him.
is a right, not a privilege. That it should be universal, affordable, and high quality. But the fact is, Javier, I've been in enough forums with you where I've heard you say you're for it, and I've heard you say you're against it.
I've never said I'm against it.
Hold it. Let
I've
me
never said
finish.
it.
Let me finish. I've heard you say that you're against it. And
Point
if
to
it's
me
such
the,
a great,
forum that
first
I
of
said
all,
it in.
can I
Or-
finish?
But
If
Carol's
you could
getting
just point the
worked.
forum that I said
He
it
is.
in.
He
I've
became the
never said
biggest
it.
loser
So
on the stage.
we've
Never
been
said
at
it.
many
Yeah.
forums
Never
where
said
you
He
said
just
it, but
became
let
the
me finish
biggest
the
loser
point.
on the stage.
It's a $500 billion price tag. You need the federal government. You need Donald
Becerra is
Trump
like
to
an
approve it.
establishment favorite.
Our budget is only 350 plus, and next year we're looking at 18 to 35 billion dollar deficit. People like you are the reason why we keep on spending more than we got. So at the end of the day, let's be clear about this. This is pie in the sky. Yes, we
Thank you.
all would like to have
Thank you.
health care that's not that's affordable.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
But
You're
so
both
we won't
aligned on
have a
this. Shut up.
Secretary Becerra, your
$550
response to
billion
that
You,
argument.
you thought
that
you
this
thought
is
you could
just too
own him, but
expensive
like
for
your position
California.
is
Your
the same
response.
as his. You stupid
Yeah,
fuck.
healthcare is expensive, but what we have to do is reduce the cost and expand the coverage to everyone. And that's what I did as secretary. They can ignore those points. They can lie
Yeah,
about them.
don't
But the
trust this
fact
guy
is,
next to him
by the
either.
time I left
Yeah.
the secretary position at HHS, we had expanded coverage to more Americans than ever in the history. And we had dropped the cost of care for millions of
kidding.
Americans under Obamacare.
And
Those are
healthcare-
facts.
it's
That's-
$550
healthcare
billion
spending-
price
Mr.
tag.
Hilton, to you, the idea of single payer healthcare.
Just listen to these Democrats arguing about whether to go left or even further left when that's the direction that's got us into this mess. The highest cost, the highest taxes in the country. I'm the only person here with actual experience of single payer healthcare, both as a patient and as a policymaker. As a patient, it nearly killed me. That's another story we don't have time
Huh?
for. As a policymaker, you end up with the worst patient satisfaction, cost that you can't afford, taxes sky high to pay
Not
for
even
it. It is
fucking
a total
remotely true.
disaster. And the actual
Ask
way we deal with
anybody
healthcare
in
this
any
state is to
country
at least
with
stop
guaranteed
spending
healthcare.
$20 billion a year on free healthcare for illegal immigrants who shouldn't even be in the country in
That's
the
not
first
even
and he's
fucking
referencing his
happening
time as a
either.
UK citizen
God
before
damn
moving to
it.
California. Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, once again, we're hearing a lot of rhetoric at the extreme ends of the political
Here you
spectrum.
go, the
here. When
enlightened
secretary
centrist
left
guy.
his
Fucking
position,
douchebag.
healthcare
Yeah.
spending was a bigger share of GDP than
He's so
ever
damn
before, pushing
transparent.
families to the brink. It's an administrative nightmare, as everybody knows, if they've ever tried to get an insurance claim filed. We're not talking about the real issue here. And Antonio's right. All the candidates who are fighting for single payer don't know how to pay for it, and they're not being honest about it.
Wealth tax, dumbass.
The reality is
Yeah.
our healthcare system is broken. 30% of the
Hilton's
cost in
full of shit,
California is
you
an
fork, punk.
administrative cost. We can use technology to bring down those costs. Number two, we are not incentivizing health.
Yeah.
We reward fee for service, more procedures,
you,
more
sir.
prescription drugs. We should reward doctors and health systems
Thank
for
you.
making people healthier.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Steyer, this next question is for you.
Alex,
And it's on the same topic, so you can
Okay.
use some of your time for that.
Okay.
In last year's budget, Governor Gavin Newsom cut healthcare funding for undocumented immigrants to address a budget gap. As governor, would you restore
hardcore.
that funding?
Of course.
I believe everybody in California has a right to health care. But the truth of the matter is, it is eating up our budget. And it's more than that, Alex. It is eating up every single family. You talked about how many people are giving up healthcare so they can make healthcare so they can make rent. You're talking about businesses that can't compete because healthcare is so expensive. And it is eating up the budget of the state of California. When people sit here and say, let's do the same thing, we can't afford to do the same thing. It is eating up our budget. Look at the numbers. That's why I changed my mind, Katie, because I looked at the facts. Single payer healthcare systems cost half as much as the system in total that
Yes,
we have
true.
now. And yes, it's going to be a big, job to get us to single payer. But the truth is, we don't have a choice because right now people are suffering. They're giving up healthcare.
Mhm.
Every medical crisis turns into a financial disaster. The truth is, we don't have a choice but to go to single payer, and you need somebody who's going to fight for it.
But to
And the person who's going to fight for
Why
it.
do they cost
To-
less
to
though?
clar- to
People-
clarify, Mr. Steyer.
And everybody's
on the
healthcare is
question
tied to their
of
jobs.
healthcare for the undocumented.
So they're
I
stuck in
said-
shitty
I
jobs.
said everybody in
So
California
you would
has a right to healthcare. And let's
Yes,
let's
undocumented
answer this.
California should
workers
fund
have
that.
The truth
healthcare.
of the matter is, immigrants built this state. Immigrants make this state run.
Yeah.
Legal.
The fact of the matter is, we had a broken immigration system, and now you want to
Thank-
victimize the people who are working here and making the state run.
Thank you,
As
sir.
Antonio said, try and get rid of them. You can't do it.
Let's go to Sheriff Bianco. Your thoughts on this idea of undocumented healthcare funding?
It's ridiculous. We're encouraged. When are we going to draw the line at any other crime? It's illegal. They entered the country illegally. We're not going to incentivize them to come here to take more of the resources that regular Californians aren't getting. The ones that are struggling here, that are here legally, they're not getting that. They're not getting free education. They're not getting free medical. They're not getting free food. They're not getting all of those things that the illegal ones are
Right,
getting.
even
And
Taiwan.
we're somehow celebrating that when the legal immigrants here don't get that. It makes absolutely no sense. And healthcare, no one's talking about how about we try and make people healthy?
So, Congresswoman Porter, your thoughts on
What
the
a
idea of
fucking
funding healthcare
concept.
for
Moron,
undocumented
what an
immigrants
idiot.
statewide?
He's so
Yes.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yes, and to
And that's,
crit-
by the way, what I think Californians deserve as answers to these questions, Alex.
and for critics who say that
Yes.
we can't afford it, what do you say to that?
We can't afford to have people who are sick, who are making the rest of us sick. When
Yeah, they
anyone
shouldn't be
doesn't
here.
have care,
They shouldn't be here.
when anyone
Jesus
doesn't have
Christ.
care, the rest of us are at risk. When people don't get vaccinations, when they
You can
don't go
wish
to the
'em on
doctor,
hand.
they wind up in the emergency room. They cause longer lines for the rest of us. They make our healthcare system, they push it to the brink. And that was exactly where we were when we expanded healthcare and health coverage to make sure that everyone can be healthy. The direction that got us into this mess is Democrats catering to big pharmaceutical companies and
Thank
big
you.
insurance companies,
Thank you.
which
And
Mr.
quickly,
Becerra
Mr.
has taken
Quick-
$2
okay.
million from in his career and still won't give us a yes or no answer on where he stands. Every other candidate on the stage gave an answer on single payer, and it was clear he's the only one who won't. And to me, with healthcare
Thank-
on the line, that's disqualifying.
Thank you.
Secretary
Yes.
Becerra, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, first, immigrants, whether documented or not, work hard. They pay taxes, and sometimes they get injured on the job or their children get sick. It would be foolish to tell a family that they don't have access to the pediatrician or the family doc, or not be able to use the community health center where it wouldn't cost us so
Goodness,
much to give them
asshole.
help access to good health care. Instead, what will happen
Whatever,
is
Johnny.
that child will get
Get
so
Marcus
ill
right.
that they will have to take that child to the hospital. And what door do they enter? The most expensive door in the healthcare system, the emergency room door. Why
Yeah,
do
that's
that
right,
and
yeah.
spend so much money when you can do it up front? And so, yes, let us provide the care to all the people who work hard and make California a better
Secretary
place.
Becerra.
They already
Thank you
pay
for that. I
taxes.
have a
They
question
just
for
don't see
you
the
on another
benefit from
issue
it.
that has come up repeatedly during this campaign. You're actually part of a lawsuit against Sheriff Bianco here over his seizure of more than 500,000 ballots
That's
that
correct.
was brought up earlier
That's it.
in Riverside County from last year's election. He says he's investigating allegations of election fraud. Election officials say that those claims aren't valid. Do you believe that the sheriff here committed a crime?
Yeah.
The sheriff is supposed to enforce the law. In this case, Sheriff Bianco violated the law. There are
There you
ways
go.
that you treat ballots. You have to maintain the integrity of every ballot. So you know, I know, we all know that no one will tamper with your ballot. There is a chain of custody requirement that the law says you have to follow in order to let that ballot move anywhere. Sheriff
I
Bianco
believe
did-
he broke the
did-
law.
Sheriff Bianco didn't follow that process. He violated the
We're
law
not talking
as
about
the sheriff.
elections.
So absolutely, that's why we are
We're
suing
not
him
talking about
to
the
get back the
election.
ballots. He cannot claim
that's
under
not the
cover of
lawsuit.
an investigation that he has the right to take these ballots and break that chain of custody. That's against the law. That's why we're suing, and that's why he's going to lose in the Supreme Court.
Sheriff Bianco?
It's not true. None of that is true. This is all political, so he could get his name in the papers that he's suing for all of
It
this.
is
It's all
true,
garbage.
Sheriff
You-
Bianco.
You don't know anything about it.
Yes, I
so-
do.
Can I
It is
answer?
true.
Can I answer?
You broke the law.
Can I answer? I am tasked, elected and tasked with enforcing the law in Riverside
Well,
County.
that's not always.
And part
that's
of
not
that
always
is
true.
fraud. Election fraud is against the law. There is absolutely nothing we did that was illegal. And the real issue here is the attorney general just doesn't want them counted. So the issue at stake in the Supreme Court is whether he has the authority to order me to not do an investigation. That's all this is. Don't lie.
What?
You two have no idea what was going on in that
Yes.
investigation.
Secretary Becerra,
You're
your
making it
response?
political.
Yeah, he's being sued by the attorney general, but he's also being sued by those of us who want to protect the ballot. And what we're saying, Sheriff, is
It's a
that
fr-
if you're going to try to get a ballot, follow the law. The law is pretty clear. All you had to do
That's
was
true,
read the
Eric.
law. You cannot take ballots, confiscate them, and count them yourself. You have to
We
have
can't.
people who are trained and,
And the judge
authorized to
agreed.
do that.
We
You
can and the
cannot
judge
do that.
agreed.
That's why the Supreme Court has stopped you from being
Mr.
able
That's
to
Hilton,
count
not-
what's your
ballots.
view?
I bet
That's a
Sheriff
lie.
Bianco only did that
my
to
view
appease
is
Trump.
that it's a bit rich
Like,
for
look at me,
Javier
I'm-
to talk about following the law when he is mired personally in a corruption scandal where his former chief of staff, Sean McCluskey, when Javier was appointed by Joe Biden to be health secretary, he wanted his chief of staff to go with him. The salary wasn't enough. So what did they do? They took money from Javier's campaign account to top up his salary by funneling it to Dana Williamson, Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff, so that it was paid to this guy's wife. All
Secretary
of that
Becerra, I
is
want you-
illegal. It is against state law. It's against federal law. My running mate for Attorney General, Michael Gates, has this evening written to Javier Becerra to make it clear that when he is Attorney General, Javier will be investigated
Thank you.
and,
And
if
Mr. Hilton-
necessary, prosecuted for these crimes.
Mr. Hilton, just to clarify the question about the seizure of the ballots in Riverside County, do you believe that Sheriff Bianco took the right step there?
I'm not
No.
going to weigh in on something that I don't have the knowledge of the facts on. I trust that Chad is interested in what we should all be interested in, which is ensuring the integrity of our elections and restoring faith in our elections in California. That's why I support voter ID in California.
Oh,
Let's see
Jesus.
what these Democrats
Right.
think of
And
voter ID.
Secretary Becerra, your response to Mr. Hilton.
Yeah, first, Steve, read the law. In order to remove ballots, you have to follow a process. Sheriff Bianco didn't follow it. If
Voter
you're not
ID
gonna
would be
enforce the law as
unconstitutional
then
anyway.
why would you want to sit in the office? But to
Well,
the
if you're
point
not,
about
if you're going
to
to
the point
break
about
the
Probably
law,
the same fraud you
a point about
investigated while you were
accountability.
Attorney General.
this issue, Steve, again, read the indictment. I was not involved in the actions that
it
were
was
being
your chief of
prosecuted.
staff.
Well, actually, Javier,
Yeah,
you
let me, if
signed
I
the
could just
campaign-
finish the,
Let's let Secretary
just
Becerra
I know where all my
finish the-
money goes.
finish the
Secretary
response.
Becerra, go ahead.
Steve, if you knew the law, you have to have basis to sue to go after someone criminally. I am not involved in that action. Now,
It was
you
your
could
chief
sit-
of staff, and it was your
and the
decision
people who
because
Your money.
people who
you
may
were
have
the one
violated the
hired
law
to
will
go
be
to
held-
Washington as health secretary,
Let
and you
Secretary
wanted
Bes-
him. You
let
wanted this
Secretary
guy
Becerra
by your
respond.
side, and the reason that the money was
Steve,
transferred
no,
is because the
Steve,
salary wasn't high
Both
enough.
of these
Steve,
clowns
That's
I can
why
suck.
just-
you engaged in this
Come on, let's
scheme,
move on.
which
Who
is
cares?
illegal
No,
under
you guys
state
aren't winning
law
anyway.
and
Secretary
Yeah.
federal
Becerra,
law.
continue responding.
So you notice that nowhere in the indictment is anything that Steve said included there. If you violate the law, you will be prosecuted. No one is above the law. You will be held accountable. If I had been involved, the U.S. attorney would have had me in that indictment. I was not involved. But here's what I will say, Steve, I hope you speak as ferociously about Donald Trump's violation of the law every time you're sitting in the governor's office trying to protect the people of California, because the
Yeah,
last
there you
thing
go,
we
Dan.
need is to have an executive who continues to violate the rights of Californians and have a governor who just sits back and agrees with that executive named Donald Trump.
All right, let's talk about housing. Skyrocketing
Yeah,
costs,
he's
severe
a
shortages have made the
hypocrite.
state unlivable.
If he's so
for
worried about
many.
the law,
Overall homeownership
fucking- how
rates
about the
are
guy
at
who
their
just
lowest
endorsed
since the
you?
1940s.
you British
Mr.
fuck.
Hilton, you say that California needs to, quote, end the war on single-family homes. Your housing plan focuses on the
I don't
building
know.
of single-family homes
A while.
over high-density
Hilton's been
multifamily
here, I
developments.
think,
Why do
12
you think
years.
that's the best approach?
And just today, I launched a new plan for starter homes in California. One of the most heartbreaking things I see is young people, they come to our events, and I ask them, do you ever see yourself owning a home in California, starting a family here? And they say no, and we're going to have to leave. And that's why we've got to enact a very
Yeah.
straightforward plan. Number one, we have to get rid of the regulations that make it 2 or 3 times as expensive to build the exact same home in California as in neighboring states. We have to stop the lawsuits filed by the unions who support these Democrats that get in the way of building housing. And to your point, we have to stop trying to force housing into suburban neighborhoods
I
where
get
people
you,
don't
Bert,
want
man.
it. Instead, we have to build single family homes in the places in our state that do want to expand. That's the plan, to make sure that we can restore that California dream of home ownership. It is the heart of opportunity for our young people, and it's being taken away by these Democrats and their policies.
Mayor Mahan, your response.
Yeah, look, again, these guys can talk, but I've actually delivered as mayor of the 3rd largest city in the state. I removed barriers to building thousands of homes that are currently under construction. We added thousands of interim housing placements and brought homeless neighbors indoors, reducing our unsheltered homeless population by 1/3.
One thing I'll credit
We've
him on
led
is
the
you
state
can't
in
take away
building
his
ADUs and
accomplishments
making it easy for people to
in
put
San Jose
backyard
for sure.
cottages in for a child returning home from college or a grandparent. I'm the only candidate on the stage who has actually taken on the bureaucracy, the red tape, reduced fees and permitting times, and delivered housing for working people.
Mayor Villaraigosa.
But actually, I built more market rate, affordable, workforce, and homeless housing in 8 years in the middle of a recession than they did in the 12 years before me. So you're not the only one on this stage that has
When
done
was
that.
this guy
But I
mayor?
want to return to what was just mentioned. Look, the fact of the matter is,
What's he done since then?
Javier Becerra's chief of staff has been indicted. A number of people have been indicted. Javier signed those documents. He said that he thought $10,000 wasn't a lot to maintain that account. Well, he actually had two accounts. The other one he paid $1,500 for. So
That's
the
it.
fact
Thank you.
is,
Maybe the more that
he may
Becerra
not
gets
be
dragged,
indicted
the
at this
better.
point, but he has to be under suspicion because it doesn't pass the smell test.
Secretary Becerra.
As I say, anyone who violates the law should be held accountable. If people want to judge me on what I've done. I expanded healthcare to more Americans than anyone in the history of the country serving as secretary. I was able to negotiate for the first time ever lower drug prices as Secretary of Health and Human Services. I took on Donald Trump when he tried to attack the state of California over and over again. If you want to judge me on the things that I've done, not on spurious claims made by people who are trying to become governor of the state of California.
Let's talk about homelessness. Mayor Mahan, this question's for you. California is among the highest homeless rates in the country. Sheriff Bianco takes issue with the term homeless itself. He says,
Tom
quote,
Steyer's take on
we will
house.
quit calling it homeless. This is not about homes. They don't even want homes. They're perfectly happy where they are. Do you agree that
Gross.
Californians sleeping on the streets don't want homes?
Well, look, first of all, I just have to set the record straight on Javier's touting his experience. The Biden administration, President Biden, openly talked about firing him, had to sideline him during COVID because he wasn't delivering results. And I am still in shock in this debate that despite being given the opportunity 3 times in a row by Katie, he was unable to clearly answer the most important question on healthcare
I
as
did
our
answer that
former
question.
Secretary
And I did.
of Health
I
and
did
Human
answer
Services.
that question. I answered
On
it very
homelessness,
clearly.
though, I can't let that slide. I'm sorry.
Sure.
The facts matter. On
I
homelessness,
did answer the
I
question.
have led the state in reducing unsheltered homelessness by finding a balanced approach that is compassionate but also accountable.
It's not.
I stood up to the system that was building $1 million a door solutions, taking years on end, and said, this is never going to scale. We're building basic, dignified shelter. We're working with our county to expand inpatient treatment. And when those beds are available, we are requiring that people come indoors. That's a pragmatic approach. It's leading the state. It's what we need to do in every city and county in California.
Sheriff
Alex,
Bianco,
can I just say-
the issue of homelessness, then we'll bring you in, Mr. Steyer. Sheriff Bianco.
Yeah. So this has nothing to do with homes. And it's unfortunate for the people there that they were just
What the hell do
relocated
you mean?
to a hard roof instead of a tent so he could run for governor. Because he had 4 years to do that and
What?
chose not to, but right before he runs for governor, he has to relocate all of them. The bottom line is this: that's not compassionate, because they're still
Oh, you only
under the influence of drugs. They're
Hold on.
still experiencing mental health issues. They're still experiencing the combination of both, and we are not giving them the treatment that they need. This is not about homes. This
You
is
have no
about
idea.
mental health treatment, drug and alcohol treatment. Most importantly, the combination of both. And it is not compassion if we are not going to give them.
We're going to give the
help
mayor
How
a
do you
chance to
force that?
respond, and then we'll bring Steyer into the
Yeah, I mean, it's
conversation.
interesting. In fact, first of all, more than half of the candidates on the stage have visited San Jose to see our success in interim housing. We've added thousands of units, moved thousands of people indoors. And just in the 3 years that I have been mayor, we have graduated about 30% of those people to permanent housing.
Yeah.
We're saving lives, fewer deaths on our streets, fewer tent encampments. In fact, right now we're in the midst of resolving the last large tent encampment in the city of San Jose. Those are the kinds of results we need to see statewide.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Steyer,
I'm
the
going
issue
to
of
jump in at some
homelessness.
point. I'm going to jump in. at some
Homelessness
point.
is very important. But the number one problem in California is Californians can't afford to live here. And the number one
Bingo.
Yeah, you
issue
said
on
that, Tom.
affordability
Yeah, you
is
said-
housing.
there you
And
go.
we skipped over it.
Right.
We didn't really talk about how we're going to build houses in this state. And the truth is, people can talk about permitting. And it's true. I work for reform of CEQA. They can talk about zoning. We need to build densely around public transportation.
Bingo,
And they
bingo,
can talk
bingo.
about constructing offsite. They'll drop costs by at least a third. But what they don't talk about is the cities and counties of this state do not want new housing, because new housing brings in people and they can't afford to pay the health and education costs. That's why the fact that I'm willing to close a corporate loophole and bring in
Thank you, Mr.
22. No,
Steyer.
but let me say this. This is the key. They will welcome housing if they can afford to take care of the people. And I talked to a mayor on Saturday
Thank you, Mr.
who said,
Steyer.
if you'll do it, I'll support you. And I love it.
I want
And
to
I
turn
respond to-
the
He's
issue
talking
of
about
homelessness.
raising taxes on small
He's
business.
referring to the
When
East Bay
Tom says we're closing
city
a
mayor.
corporate loophole, what he's not telling you is he's raising taxes on commercial property across the board. That means all of your office uses, all your small businesses. That's just going to get passed on to consumers
Not true.
and make the cost of living in California even higher.
That's not true.
And it's not going to fund
No.
single payer because that's 10 times more expensive than the revenue he's going to collect.
Mr.
Raising
Steyer?
taxes isn't always the
How
answer, Tom.
is it possible that he could possibly know what this bill says since it hasn't been written? The truth is we're going to give an exception for small businesses. The idea of this is corporations are getting taxed for real estate on their basis in the 1970s. Disney,
Yeah.
10 billion,
Sorry,
hundreds
it's
of
about
billion dollar
Thank you, Mr.
company
Steyer.
is
Caitlin,
paying
Caitlin,
I'm
this
sorry.
is about
Thank
paying
you,
real
Mr.
estate
Steyer. I want
taxes
to turn
for
to
Disneyland based
Caitlin,
on the 1970s.
Thank you, Mr.
That's
Steyer.
not
I want
small
to turn to
businesses,
issues
Matt.
of leadership,
Yeah.
which is something that obviously all of you would be in the position to deal with if you are elected governor. And Mayor Villaraigosa, you actually put out an ad of your own recently that highlighted your opponent here, Congresswoman Katie Porter,
Yeah, you're
threatening
not
to
alone,
cut off
Martian.
an interview with a reporter. That came after a video surfaced of her berating a member of her staff. If a senior official in your government acted as she did in those videos, would you fire them?
Yes. But let's be clear. That's irrelevant because one of us will be the next governor. But let me just say something about what Javier Becerra has refused to answer. And that is that your chief of staff was indicted for padding his salary with your campaign funds. You initially on CNN said that you knew that you signed it. You knew that they spent $10,000. And then on the
Sarah's
second
not
time
happy.
on your
You
show,
don't know what the fuck you're talking
said
about.
you didn't
Beat
know.
that, whatever the fucking
The
name is. You
fact
don't know what the fuck you're
is,
talking about.
as I
Yeah,
said,
beat
I
that,
think
but
you
you're
had
an
an
idiot.
answer. You had two committees. You spent $1,500 for one and $10,000 for
Don't you
the
get
other.
the facts straight? And I hope I
That's
can
Mr.
clarify.
Mayor,
I'm
That is a
sorry,
fact.
Caitlin.
I want to go to Congresswoman Porter.
Enough of this
since
Wait,
Becerra
Caitlin,
guy.
wait,
Get
time
off
out.
Becerra.
I'll
I
go
don't
to
care
you.
about
I'm
him.
sorry.
Yeah.
It is
Given
my
she's
turn.
Yeah.
at the center of that ad,
Thank
and you've
you.
put out an ad of your own, now making light of that interaction that you had with your
That's not
staffer,
correct, Caitlin.
which you said you apologized for.
That is not correct. The ad is about showing Californians what they've had a chance to see on this stage tonight and in every other debate stage that we've had, which is that I'm able to take responsibility. I'm able to follow the rules. I'm able to say I'm sorry and I'm able to do better. Everybody in California had a chance to see me on stage with that reporter in the last debate and see exactly how I conducted myself. Californians can decide for themselves about my temperament based on what they've seen here tonight. And if these boys bullying and bickering hasn't been enough to raise questions about their temperament, I would really challenge that. I have taken responsibility at this point hundreds of times, and that's appropriate because I made a bad decision and I treated someone badly. I apologized 5 years ago for it, and we worked together for 4 more years. What I haven't heard is the people on this stage who have made other bad decisions and other mistakes and other failures of leadership. Not one of them, not one of these men have said in this entire campaign, I've made a mistake, not for not being able to account for undocumented children who wound up in child labor. You called that MAGA talking points and a hoax, Mr. Becerra.
Oh, right.
I could go down the line. I don't even want to waste my time on this. I just want to say to California,
Once
I have
again, you're a
taken
fucking idiot.
responsibility. I have shown that. And what that ad is about, Caitlin, is about showing that I can laugh at myself. I can hold myself to account. And I have the fitness, the temperament, and the best ideas to be governor. And everybody's had a chance to see
Need
now.
one
in
more
3
subscriber,
debates how
guys.
Thank you,
I conduct
Congresswoman
myself.
Porter. And on this issue of leadership, Sheriff
One
Bianco,
more.
you've had
Caitlin,
harsh
Caitlin,
criticism.
I have to interject. My name has been used several times.
No,
and I've
And
Dude,
figured-
Secretary
enough
Becerra,
about
I'll
you.
come to you
You've
on,
gotten
on,
so much
Caitlin,
attention.
you said
Yeah.
I'll
that
come
last
to you on
time.
what the Congresswoman said. I promise. Don't worry.
Thank you.
But Sheriff Bianco, on this issue of leadership, I saw the two of you chatting earlier, you and Mr. Hilton. You've actually had some harsh words for your fellow Republican on the stage tonight. You've called him, quote, unethical and dishonest, and said that he is trying to, quote, manipulate
Yeah.
Californians and, quote, swindle
Green
his
Nancy.
way into the Republican side. Are you saying that you don't think Republican voters can trust Mr. Hilton?
I will tell you, I don't know where that came from. I wouldn't tell you in my entire life. I don't think I've used the word swindle. So I don't know if you were quoting something or if you were saying that, if you were saying that.
It's a quote from you to the Atlantic.
No, I've never used the word swindle. Have Steve and I disagreed? Absolutely, we have. Have we had our quite big disagreements and battles in this election because he's running his campaign, I'm running mine, and
So you're denying that you said these quotes.
no, I'm saying that I don't know where that came from. I would never use the word swindled, but the context, yes, I have said that. It's
This guy has
unethical.
no
I'm the only
integrity.
person up here that their entire existence in their job revolves
That's
around
exactly
honesty,
right, Martian.
integrity, and leadership.
Like
I'm the only
he
one.
really,
Right now,
really wanted the Trump endorsement.
lying can get
But
me
can I just-
removed from my job,
Can I just clarify
unlike what they're saying.
with you? Because this says it's from an interview with KVAK that happened in April of this
He's
year.
just as unstable.
Where
as-
you said he's trying to
order,
figure out how he can
honestly.
manipulate Californians to put him in this position in a time when we know that California Democrats have failed and we are going to vote for a Republican governor. And he has swindled his way into the Republican side, even though he's not.
I probably did say that. I didn't use the word swindled, whatever it was, but
No,
that
whatever,
context,
dude.
I will
Who
agree with that
cares?
100%.
So you
I do believe that.
okay? So you did say the quote,
Okay. Sure.
Mr. Hilton.
Okay.
Look, this is a very serious moment for California. The ballots are out, they're in your hands. And we have a really big choice to make, which is do we go for another 4 years of one party rule that's given us the highest taxes for the worst results, the highest poverty rate, highest unemployment rate, highest cost of living, serious policy questions, homelessness. We need to stop homelessness and end it. We need to stop funding fiascos like high-speed rail.
Thank you, Mr.
We need to
Hilton.
lift burdens on our business.
Caitlin,
That's what this debate needs
Thank
to
you.
be about. And the only way to get the change we need is to not vote
Thank you,
the
Mr.
same way
Hilton.
and think you're going to get a different result.
I do have to go back to Secretary Becerra since I did promise you that I would let you respond.
Yeah, he's
to
lying,
that,
by
since
the way.
Congresswoman Porter
California
invoked
does
your
not
name
even
a few
remotely
moments ago.
have
She
the
was
highest
talking about
poverty
your
rate.
leadership.
Not even
Would
close.
you like to respond to her?
Yeah, I think everyone's invoking my name. It's nice to hear my name quite a bit, and they're at least pronouncing it.
it
correctly.
shouldn't be.
I will tell you
Oh
this:
shit.
distorting the facts in your quest to be governor is never good. But using Trump lies to try to damage your opponents is worse. And that's what we see happening. Everyone knows that Trump campaigned in 2024 talking about lost kids when there were no such thing as lost kids. To hear these candidates now talk about that, if they're so concerned, why haven't they taken any action to find these lost kids? I think it's shameful for people to use Trump lies to try to gain favor with voters when you know it's not true. Use the facts. We should have a governor who relies on the facts. I will speak the facts when I'm governor because that's what the California voters deserve.
I feel
All right,
compelled to fact check it.
staying on the topic.
It was a New York
of-
Times
of-
Pulitzer Prize winning investigation.
And read the
It's not
article.
Donald
Antonio.
Trump
Read
who-
the article. Antonio.
26 Democrats.
all right,
Mr.
Villaraigosa.
26
We're gonna-
Democrats
we're gonna-
said it
We're
was
going to move on.
outrageous,
We're going to move on now,
horrendous.
sir.
Man.
Be accountable.
All right, we're going to move on. On the
Great.
topic of leadership, I want to talk about California Governor Gavin Newsom, who's about to leave office after 8 consequential and at times controversial years. To all of you, what is one word you would use to describe Governor Newsom's performance as governor?
Oh, good
We
question.
will go down the
Mhm.
line,
Good
starting
question.
with you,
Limp
Mayor
dick is what I
Villaraigosa.
would say.
One word to describe Governor Newsom's performance.
That's
as
2 words,
governor.
I suppose.
Corrupt.
Performative.
Bold.
Bold.
Progressive.
Gross. What?
Failed.
Steve, failure. You can't take my word.
Game changing.
Game changing.
Incomplete.
We'll be right back with more of the California governor primary debate.
I don't know
right
why.
here on CNN.
I don't know why. Star. That was really weird note to end on. I don't know why Star said progressive
Yeah.
because
Mahan actually had the
Newsom,
best.
Newsom has not been progressive. Hey, everybody! Thank you for joining.
Thank
If you're
you.
new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. I could really use the subscribers. We've got a
Subscribe
lot
to
of
my
people
end as
watching.
well. Yeah.
people
Same
keep
here.
firing up our chat. I really appreciate the MAGA trash in particular tuning in, just hating on all the Democrats. It's
So-
like, yeah, we hate the establishment Democrats too, man.
Yeah, we
Just for a lot
yeah.
of different reasons.
Euphoric Monk, you were talking there. We were talking earlier about the homelessness problem and whatnot. You say it's drug addiction / mental health issues, not a. I think he's trying to say a 700K studio built by government kickbacks wouldn't be a solution. And here's the thing: the data pans this out. If you actually put people in houses, if you actually put a roof over their head, their stability just increases multiple times over. You know, if you give them that basic like baseline standard,
Right.
then the potential for growth just blossoms from there.
Yes.
They're
Yeah, you need the basics.
yeah, they're not going to get over their addiction and mental health issues, or at least remedy it, if they don't have stable housing. If they're constantly moving around or being shuffled around by law enforcement, or moving from tent camp to tent camp, you know.
Yeah, let's get back to some of the people in the chat. Thank you. Welcome to the party. Please don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, so we're probably going to be voting for Tom Steyer.
More than likely, yeah.
More than likely. I don't really see anybody.
Yeah.
If Kitty Porter weren't such a crazy bitch, then maybe I would have had a chance with her. But
yeah,
I don't know. Tom's got all the right policy positions, and he's making the effort with progressives, going on a lot of channels that, you know, a lot of establishment politicians won't go on.
Yeah, he's actually gone on actual progressive and leftist channels. He's gone Francesca Fiorentini. He's gone on even Hassan Piker's podcast as well. I think he even went on Crystal Cow.
All right, let's deal with this MAGA trash motherfucker. So California is the most desirable place to live in the entire country.
It's been that way for a while too, yeah.
And it's been that way for a really long time. So
yeah,
thank you, Johnny Skidmark, for the hate. But you wish you lived here, my man.
Really, though, it's the wealthiest state in the country. It's the most beautiful state and most diverse state in the country.
More friendly to entrepreneurs than any other state.
Yeah, more people live here than any other state. You should do yourself
diverse state, socially and ethnically.
If you're gonna name yourself Skidmark, then just make sure you wipe your ass. Like, goddamn.
Oh yeah. He doesn't like our pick on Steyer either. Oh, Johnny, you're killing us, man. Yeah, you're one of those people where it's like if you disagree with you're probably onto something.
Yeah.
With Steyer, you fucking crazy. Yeah, I mean, by the way, it's apostrophe, Ari. No, I'm not crazy. I described it earlier as kind of the least bad option. Like we're not over the moon about Tom Steyer, but
no,
he's head and shoulders better than anybody else on that debate stage.
Yeah, like issue for issue, like he is the most consistent compared to everybody else that's on the stage. You know, fucking Bianco and Porter are emotional. They're crazy. Like they are unhinged. I don't really trust Porter too much, but the fact that Bianco is here is just a fucking miracle when it comes down to it. Becerra is 100% corrupt. He is bought by the pharmaceutical and health insurance companies as well as big oil and gas. Mahan, the San Jose guy, he is playing the role of the enlightened centrist. He reminds me way too much of like Buttigieg or, you know, Cory Booker. I can't take away his accomplishments from what he's done in San Jose. Like he's definitely made great strides, but he is apparently very, very much in bed with big tech and multiple big wealthy CEOs and whatnot. So he's very much a sellout, and see right through him. And I barely know anything about the Villaraigosa guy or whatever, the former LA mayor. And yeah, Becerra sucks. California's a great state because of great weather, but you have to be for real financially to afford it. Yeah, it is.
The best parts, yeah, the best parts.
Yeah,
everything that's great costs money.
No,
all right, back into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, got to get the audio. Hold on.
Potential, with the possibility of massive job loss in our state. Mayor Mahan, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei says AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs and spike unemployment to 10 to 20% in the next 5 years. As governor of California, would you require AI companies to compensate people displaced by their own technology and how so?
Well, Alex, as the mayor of the largest city in Silicon Valley, I've seen these tools up close, and they can be used to make life better, but they also come with great risks, and people are right to be worried. I've regulated big tech. We started something called the GovAI Coalition to create frameworks for how cities, counties, and others should use these tools responsibly. I created the first and largest AI upskilling curriculum for city workers. This year, 1,000 city workers in San Jose will go through our upskilling curriculum. The answer is to tax these companies and fund workforce development, upskilling courses, and create the shared prosperity that we need, the pathways to the jobs of the future, but not to regulate them to the point that they simply go to other places and then this
Steyer's
change
amused.
happens to us.
Mr. Steyer, your thoughts on AI?
Well, what we can't have in AI is for it to succeed and we create 12 trillionaires and millions of people who lose their jobs. The number one thing we have to do is make sure that AI is a tool for workers and not a replacement of workers. And we absolutely need to own part of it. The people of California need to have a tax or a fee on every calculation. And we'll use that to protect workers. We'll use that to retrain workers. And if there's money left over, we'll use it for a sovereign wealth fund. This is a California innovation in technology. We own the beach.
Thank
We
you.
should own part of
Seriously,
AI.
if you're going to use
original question,
AI
would you
for
require
anything,
AI companies to compensate people displaced by their
should cost you.
technologies.
It's classic Democrats, isn't it? What you're hearing. If it moves, tax it. If it still moves, regulate it. And if it stops moving, I guess they want to subsidize it. Look,
Regulate
the truth
AI.
is on this, we have to have a bit of humility. This is a very fast-moving technology, and actually, even the people involved in it disagree about its exact consequences. Here are two practical things we could and should be doing better today. First of all, the real blue-collar jobs that are coming from the AI revolution, they're not happening in California. They're going to Texas and Arizona, semiconductor manufacturing. We could get that back by removing
you.
regulations. And secondly,
Thank you,
our
sir.
school system is not educating our kids to be able to
Thank you,
thrive
Mr.
in this
Hilton.
world of AI.
Congresswoman
We need
Porter.
to do better.
Are you kidding me,
AI
dude?
is a policy choice. We
AI
get
is
to decide
unpopular.
as Californians whether we want these technologies to work for
Hilton is
us and to help
insulated.
us, or whether we want to stand by and let them gut our economy. I've talked about how AI could be delivering a 4-day work week for every single Californian, something that OpenAI came out this week talking about. I'm seeing AI already in my classrooms, having to write an AI policy with my kids' homework. We have to decide, do we want AI to work for all of us? And I think when AI uses what people
Thank
have
you.
done, what workers have done, workers should be compensated for those inputs.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Obviously, AI is a huge issue that, as governor, any of you would have to deal with. Also, one that is underway right now in California, a changing climate that has been exacerbating water shortages, poor air quality, and of course, disasters like wildfires that people in this state are unfortunately all too familiar with. According to analysis
everybody
from
has
our
a time
partner,
limit.
USA Facts, California has actually declared nearly 50 disasters in just the last 5 years. Mr. Steyer, your opponent
his
here,
point was
Mr.
so solid
Hilton,
either, by
says
the
that
way.
there is no evidence of California's regulations actually helping the climate. What's your response to him?
Well, I think that Mr. Hilton is ridiculous. Mr. Hilton is
He is.
an
I love you too,
apologist.
Tom.
He is an apologist for fossil fuels. He is an apologist for this war to control fossil fuels. The truth of the matter is, clean energy is now much cheaper than fossil fuel energy. We're an
By
electric
far.
revolution the world over. That's why I'm insisting that the electric monopolies have local competition to drive down costs for Californians. That's why I'm saying we should triple the tax
Hilton does
credit for
not
people to
support
buy
that.
EVs, because EVs are the absolute future. The truth of the matter is, it's very simple in terms of what we have to do in terms of energy. We need to make the polluters pay. We have to take environmental justice at the beginning of every conversation.
Hilton doesn't
And we
believe in
need to
competition
deploy the
because he
clean
cares
energy
more about their
technology that is here,
corporate
that is
profits.
invented by Californians, that will allow us to build huge companies all over the world. Right now, Donald Trump is fighting for the buggy whip. He is fighting for the black and white TV. He is fighting for the best. The truth is, this world is moving to electricity at warp speed on every continent. And
Thank
the
you,
United
Mr.
States
Steyer.
is still hanging on to the past.
I
Yeah,
believe he called you
this is
ridiculous.
absolutely
Is
right.
that your word, Mr. Steyer?
I think that was my
Would
word,
you like to
actually.
respond, Mr. Hilton, to that charge?
Again, I don't want to respond to silly insults, but I'll take the substantive point, which is, first of all, when Tom talks about tripling subsidies for electric vehicles, let's be clear what that is. That is higher taxes on hardworking Californians driving their gas cars and trucks every day so that Tom's rich friends can feel virtuous about saving the climate. The truth is we need common sense on climate change. It doesn't make sense to import oil from halfway around the world, increasing carbon emissions in the name of climate. It doesn't make sense to allow mega wildfires in our forests that actually release more carbon dioxide than what is saved by all
Thank
these
you,
years
Mr.
of
Hilton.
climate policy.
Mr. Steyer?
Look, I think that description of how we should handle the gasoline crisis is not real world. The truth of the matter is we're paying gasoline prices based on world prices. We're not paying
Yes.
gasoline prices based on what it costs to get oil in California. We're paying world prices.
So
That's
why are
why
they
that-
$2
that's
higher
why-
here than everywhere
That
else?
is why they've gone up $1.50, Steve,
Yes,
because of the war in Iran.
But it's
That is
up
not
$2
because
of
all
your
of a sudden
policy.
the costs in California went by $1.50. Drilling more in California is not going to change the price we pay at the pump. The price we pay at the pump is what the oil companies gouge us for because they're charging us what everyone else in the world
Bingo,
pays.
Mayor
bingo. That's
Villaraigosa,
exactly
can you
right. Like
respond
fucking
to this in terms
drilling in
of someone who was
California
the
and refining
mayor
it
of
here
Los
and opening it up
Angeles?
is not going to
Mr.
change
Hilton is saying the
shit.
climate regulations don't work, don't actually help the climate. Mr. Steyer is saying they do.
Mr. Hilton is wrong, but let me be clear. I had 100% record on the environment in the 6 years I was in the legislature. I passed the
I think
Kyle
that's
Moyer Act, which
unrealistic
was the
thinking,
biggest effort to
Euphoric
clean
Monk.
up the air since the Clean Air Act. When I was mayor of Los Angeles, the largest city in this state, I reduced greenhouse gases by 28% below
should focus
Kyoto
on
levels.
solar.
#1 American city, #5 in the world. But we can't keep on putting these policies on the backs of working people. We've had this conversation, Alex, many times. We have the highest gas prices because we overregulate gas in this state. And yes, it's true, the Iranian war
What?
has picked them up even further. But we need to have a balance, an all of the above solution like Norway. Norway is one of the greenest countries in the world, and they produce their own oil and gas. That's how they green Norway.
Congresswoman Porter, I want to ask you about something that is a huge conversation in Washington. You've mentioned your whiteboard use that you were famous for when you served in Congress. A recent poll found that 56% of likely California primary voters think the next governor should make investigating fraud in government programs a high priority. The president has named Vice President J.D. Vance as the nation's fraud czar. As you know, he brings up California a lot and has made clear that he has set his sights on California. Do you believe that's a good thing?
So we should all care where our tax dollars go, whether we're paying, a low rate like Tom compared to the rest of us or a rate that's higher. We all should want our tax dollars to go to work. I think Tom wants even his 13% compared to our 20% to go to work. So fraud is real. It happens. Government waste, mismanagement, failure to have audits, failure
Euphoric
to
Monk,
implement
the
government
California government
recommendations.
doesn't
That's
control
why
electricity.
it
It's
chose to serve on
PG&E,
the oversight
the
committee
private
and
corporation.
hold Democratic leadership and Republican leadership, Trump and Biden, to account for those programs. But there's nothing special about Californians. That is political theater coming from J.D. Vance.
Would you be able to pause this
Fraud
just real quick,
occurs
Peter?
because government leaders don't think hard.
So, Euphoric Monk, just to respond to your point, you say 100% electric is not the answer. Way too much control for government medicine. The thing is, Tom Steyer's point, if you introduce more competition into the market, especially in terms of renewables, to local jurisdictions, local municipalities,
Design programs.
then that would lower the cost across the board because that's basic economics. But right now, PG&E has a monopoly across California when it
Yep.
comes to the electric grid. That's so like Tom Steyer's plan would be the best plan out of everybody on the stage.
Clearly to guard against fraud. It happens on both sides of the aisle, and it's going to take somebody who has a track record of protecting consumers and doing government oversight in order to change that.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Sheriff Bianco, on the program itself and investigating fraud, and she's saying that it's political theater that is coming from the federal government.
It's only political theater if the fraud is happening and it happened on our watch. And
keeps
so the
going up
Democrats in
because of
California don't
competition.
want anybody to believe that there's fraud in California. But yet our own state government has said that we are one of the most wasteful state governments in the entire country. The waste, fraud, and the abuse in California government is the worst in the entire country. That comes from our own state government. If we are not going to root out the waste, fraud, and abuse, all of their pie in the sky policies, they certainly are not going to pay for them unless they tax you more, which is that's all we're hearing from them is what you started in the very beginning about how bad California is. And we aren't talking about the policies that are going to fix it because it's their policies that broke it. We've talked about them arguing about Mr. Becerra and about Trump ruining everything. But the reality is it is Democrat policies in California that have failed us in every question you've asked that we haven't answered.
Mayor Villaraigosa, this next question is for you. In 2008, California voters voted for a high-speed rail system from LA to San Francisco that was supposed to be done by 2020 and cost around $30 billion. It's now 2026. It's not even close to being done. And the estimated cost has ballooned to $230 billion. Mayor, your opponent, Steve Hilton, says that on his first day in office, he would kill this project, quote, stone dead. Would you?
No. And let me just first speak about waste and fraud. I can acknowledge that there has been waste and fraud in the state. There was 250 million in just one hospice facility. We spent $24 billion on homelessness, and homelessness went up. Why would I continue to support high-speed rail? Because when the subway to the sea was dead, and I became mayor, I said I was going to bring in the best and the brightest from around the world. We did. And then I got the federal government to approve it, and that subway is going to get built. We've had incompetence, maybe fraud, but for sure, we've made mistakes with respect to this. As governor, I will do what I did as mayor, build more transportation than anybody in the United States of America.
Mr. Hilton.
So high-speed rail is an example of the fraud. They've spent billions of dollars. I don't know where the money's gone. It certainly hasn't gone into building anything that actually works. And I just want to make one broader point about fraud. I'm actually running this race in a different way than we've seen before. I've put together a team to run with me for the other statewide offices, and along with my running mate for state controller, Herb Morgan, and Michael Gates for attorney general, and Gloria Romero for lieutenant governor, we've actually been investigating the fraud. Our surveys so far suggest that there, in the last 5 years in California, we've had $425 billion of fraud. That's around $80 billion a year, around 20% of the budget.
Thank you, sir.
And our team is going to stop it and prosecute it and give money
Alex,
back
you,
to
sir.
Alex,
taxpayers.
if I could just chime in on this.
Real quickly, Mayor.
Yeah, well, first of all, election denial certainly is running a campaign in a different way. But look, on high-speed rail, it shouldn't cost us more to get to Modesto than it's cost us to get to the moon. And it's not either or. The answer is accountability. We are spending billions of dollars before we ever put a shovel in the ground, paying consultants and lawyers for endless bureaucracy. As governor, I will demand fundamental reform of CEQA, of all of the rules, the environmental laws, the litigation around these projects so that we get to building faster. It goes back to your climate point as well. We can't modernize our grid if we can't build.
Thank you, sir. Congresswoman Porter, this question's to you. Let's talk about one of the biggest industries here in California, Hollywood. Film production has been leaving Hollywood for years. The state recently expanded the film tax credit to $750 million in an effort to bring those productions back. Some of your opponents here on stage think that tax credit should be unlimited. Do you?
Yes, I think we need to be competitive in California. I see a lot of people who've been in office 30 years in California, been in different elected positions on this stage, and they're patting themselves on the back when we didn't acknowledge that we are in a competition in California. It's much more expensive and much more difficult to bring any industry back than it is to hang on to it in the first place. So California's in competition. It's a competition we can and must win. We have the most talented workforce. We have the best higher education system, but we do have to have competitive policies.
Mayor Villaraigosa.
You know, when I was mayor of
Hold on, we got to deal with this asshole because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Okay. The tax credit system is why those productions go to film elsewhere. The people involved with raising the money, finding the cast, putting the artists and everybody together, the writer, the producers, all that stuff, it's all still happening in Hollywood. It always will. It is the cornerstone of not just the American entertainment system, but the global entertainment system. So they're talking about tax credit programs that bring working class jobs to places like Georgia. And there are international tax credit programs that bring jobs elsewhere too, because you probably don't know this. The set, a movie set, TV set, it's pretty much a construction site. And there's a lot of union workers on them. So BPAD, they're not leaving Hollywood. They're just shooting their stuff in other locations because the tax credit benefits are formidable. So I just didn't want to let that go because I actually just can't stand that ignorance.
Right. And you have experience and you actually Yeah, you actually know that shit. Yeah.
Los Angeles. I'd walk down a red carpet
Just
and
right
I'd
at
say the following,
125.
that the jobs behind the camera are more important than the people in front. 200,000 jobs we had, and we've lost them. This election is an existential election for Hollywood. So, yes, we do need an unlimited, uncapped tax credit. One. Two, it needs to be above and below the line. The notion,
Yeah.
too many people in Sacramento believe it should just go to camera operators and,
Yep.
makeup
That's
people. It
that's-
has to go to
that's-
everyone.
That's
And
time, sir.
so that's what I'll do
Thank
when
you.
I'm governor.
All right, while we're on the topic of Hollywood, let's give the voters a chance to get to know you all a little bit. This is a rapid fire question. You know, we've done this stuff in the past. It's for each of you. Which actor would you want to play you in a movie about your life? I'm going to each of you. Think of which actor would play you in a movie about your life.
What?
Mayor Mayhem, starting with you.
Stupid
There.
Oh
question.
boy.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper.
You're gonna have to come back to me. I don't know.
I got one.
Russell Crowe in The Gladiator. How's that?
Okay, Javier Becerra.
Antonio Banderas.
Okay, Sheriff.
I have no idea.
Tom
I-
Selleck.
Yeah, I guess that would be a good one. Clint Eastwood.
Okay, Mr. Hilton.
I think there's only one choice really. Jason Statham.
Okay, Mr. Steyer.
Gregory Peck.
Gregory Peck. Okay,
Gregory Peck,
coming
close.
back, I guess, to do that. Mr. Congressman Porter.
Tina Fey.
All right.
Hmm.
Mr. Mayor.
At the Hollywood event when I was mayor, Antonio Banderas said he wanted to play me. So I said yes. So I got to go with Antonio
We're getting
Banderas.
Antonio Bears lots of work doing this tonight. We're at least increasing his
Agreed,
job.
Sally.
We'll be back
Very
with more.
stupid
The
question.
California
Yeah.
governor debate right
Oh,
here.
it's California. There's Hollywood here. Don't shit on us too much.
Sure.
Hold on, let me-
I mean, I get it, but still.
All
it's
right,
like,
so I
doesn't
think
really add
Tom has
much.
gotten his punches in, and is
Yeah.
pretty content with
Yeah.
his performance. I think he's in that place of like, just don't fuck it up from here on out.
Basically,
And
yeah.
he should win. He's got the wins. He's on a broad reach, as they say in sailing.
Yeah, I mean, what comes down to it, he's not doing badly. And like he's not blowing me away. He's not like going above and beyond, but he's doing what he needs to do, and he still sounds better and more consistent than everybody else on the stage. And he definitely, I mean, more than anything, he has the actual policy platform to show for it.
Yeah. So BPAT, yeah, I know that they're leaving jobs. Those blue collar jobs are going elsewhere. Those people live for the most part in those states.
Mhm.
So those people in Georgia, they're getting the productions that are shot there. Those people are mostly residents of that state.
Yeah.
So yeah, bringing the productions back to LA would obviously be a job creator, but there's still a ton of shit being shot in LA just because it kind of has to be.
Mhm.
But
That's where all the
yeah.
super magic happens. But like when it comes to actually outsourcing, for lack of a better term, or exporting film sets to other states, it's just because if you're filming stuff naturally, I guess you could say, other states obviously look different than Southern California. You know,
So it
it's
looks
all
like
about
we've
Yeah.
got a decent amount of Trump trash in the audience, and I wanted to thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah,
And just know
we'll get
that
back to it. The debate will continue soon. Obviously, it's a commercial break.
right, it's a commercial break. I just wanted all the Trump trash in the audience to know that you're what's wrong with America. You do not understand the relationship between government and citizen.
Yep.
You have been programmed by the likes of godlike figures like Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump that have convinced you that scapegoat politics is legit politics, where your life doesn't suck because you suck. Your life sucks because of those black and brown immigrants coming and taking your jobs, and the gays coming for your kids,
The
et
woke.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Check out my essays if you want to get deprogrammed. Start with the beginning, watch them on 1.5, 2x speed in chronological order. If you are a conservative, you have been challenged to address the ignorance of your upbringing, because I guarantee you have been some version of a conservative your entire life. And if you haven't, you started out on the left and became a conservative, then you are pure evil. You are pure evil. I mean, like
Or you're
Dave
gullible as
Rubin,
fuck.
Dave Rubin did that.
Well, he
Yeah,
did because
there you
like he
go.
was just pacing
Libtards
the
everything
money.
wrong with the world. Yeah, except those ICE agents, killing people and beating the shit out of people isn't those gun nuts shooting up schools. That's not evil.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Like,
you're allowing
He's Hitler. If he's Hitler, that makes you a Nazi. So
Mhm.
suck on that for the rest of your life. And
Yeah,
this is
here-
maybe a good opportunity to bring up my advocacy for the politics of social exclusion. All you Trump trash in the chat right now, try going to Philly, Boston, New York, Chicago, Seattle, LA, San Francisco,
Real America.
any kick-ass major city in America wearing your MAGA hat after he's out of office. See what happens. Fuck that. Try it right now. Try wearing a MAGA hat in Philadelphia and see what happens, you fucking trash.
What's crazy is just what's more baffling than anything is how he still gets support, despite the fact that he is just an out and out pedophile. Like not only that, not only is he implicated in the Epstein files, but he's actively protecting everybody else who is implicated in those files. Like, not a single indictment has come down, not a single charge has been pressed, not a single one of them has actually seen accountability, and it's all because of Trump and his DOJ. The DOJ is an extension; it's an arm of the Trump administration, and not a goddamn thing has happened. It's because Trump is he's a career criminal. You guys
Back
support
to
a
it.
criminal.
Hopefully they wrap this shit up soon.
Voters
although we
that
get
are
a huge crowd.
undecided,
Yeah.
and many of them might be having some trouble distinguishing you from one another, seeing what sets you each of you apart in your campaigns. And so we want to give you an opportunity to tell us one characteristic that sets you apart from everyone else on stage here tonight. You have 30 seconds each. Mayor Villaraigosa, I'll start with you.
When I make a mistake, I'm accountable. I'm willing to say I made a mistake. When I have to take on my friends because there's a big, tough issue, I'm willing to do it. I think character matters, and I have the character to be governor of this state. I'm willing to take on my friends. It's easy to take on your opponents, but when you can take on your friends in a crisis, that's the measure of a man or
True,
woman.
Lynn.
Congresswoman?
I have shown time and time again that I am willing
You're
to
an idiot,
push
Robert
for
Stone.
politics to be better, for government to be better. I'm the only candidate on this stage that refuses corporate donations. That's something that year after year, election after election, Californians say they're tired of having candidates who are beholden to their donors rather than fighting for them. We have to live our values in California and elect someone who will only focus on the future of California, not on giving away campaign favors.
Mr. Steyer?
This is a simple campaign because corporations are driving up the cost for working California to a place where they can't afford it. And I'm the person taking on the corporate special interests. I've beaten them in the past 3 times, and they are spending millions, tens of millions of dollars against me. That's how you know that I'm the person who wants to change things, because
Exactly.
they're spending tens of millions of dollars against me. Working people are supporting me. Environmentalists are supporting me. Progressives are
Yeah,
supporting
his
me.
endorsement
I'm the
list
change
is
agent
pretty
on
good.
this stage.
It is.
And Mr. Hilton, what's
Yeah.
the characteristic that defines you from the rest of the state?
Well, if you ask my wife and my sons, often to their great embarrassment, it's that I absolutely hate bureaucracy and
Stick
ridiculous,
around. I'll have something to
pointless
say to you.
rules and regulations that crush the life out of people and businesses and daily experience that we have. And so I just want to tell everyone I'm going to be relentless, absolutely relentless in fighting the nonsense that makes life so difficult for each and every one of you. I will not rest until we restore sanity to our beautiful state of California.
Sheriff Bianco?
Yeah, I'm the only one on this stage that has 33 years of proven public service.
Oh yeah,
The
Joe.
decisions that I make have life and death consequences, and those decisions are made on a daily basis. And I'm the only one that makes those. I'm also the only one on this stage that is working every single day with the consequences of the failed policies of everyone else on this stage. And the difference is I'm not one of them.
Secretary Becerra, what's your characteristic?
I think the fact that I have the experience to take on the toughest challenges, whether it's Donald Trump in his first term or whether it was COVID, something we'd not experienced in our lifetime. I've been able to prove that I can balance a budget bigger than the budget of the state of California. I've proven that I know how to tackle a national state of emergency because I've had to do that in the past as Secretary of Health and Human Services. And I proved that I can fight, but more importantly, I can win. And so when someone goes into that governor's office, they're going to have to take a chair and there will not be training wheels there for them. You have to deliver. And I have a proven record of delivering results. I don't just make inflated promises.
Mayor Mahan?
I'm relentless about delivering results in people's lives. I started my career as a public school teacher in East Side San Jose and fought every day to get each of my students on grade level. As mayor, when the bureaucracy and the establishment pushed back against solutions that would get people into treatment, or thought that it was okay to spend $1 million a door and make people wait out in tent encampments to come indoors. I fought against that. When people said we couldn't build housing, I fought to speed up permitting and reduce fees. And now we have homes under construction. I'll fight every day to make life better for Californians.
Thank you, Mayor Mahan. Thank you to all the candidates for joining us here tonight for CNN's California Governor Primary Debate. Thank you to Alex Michelson and to our whole team. And also a special thank you to our host, East Los Angeles College.
And thanks to everybody for watching. We encourage you to get out there and vote. There's a lot to break down.
All right. Thank you very much
Interesting. Yeah.
for watching with us. That was an exciting
Yeah. It was
Democratic that was a bipartisan debate,
Mhm.
Butch Ware was left out. Otherwise, it would have been tripartisan.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for watching. If you haven't liked, shared, subscribed, or please just
Yes, please.
subscribe. If you haven't already, we would really appreciate it. We're trying to grow the channel.
Mhm.
All the Trump trash in the audience, thank you for tuning in and go
Yeah.
fuck yourselves because you're evil. You are in the service of evil. There is no excuse for you and your behavior anymore. You used to be
Yeah.
able to claim ignorance. You used to be able to say you're not educated. Now we have got 10 years of evidence that proves you are either an idiot, bully, or coward, usually all three. You are treasonous Trump trash terrorists. You do not live the values of our country. You're actually the least
Anti-ethical.
patriotic,
Yep.
the least American people. And if you want to know what you can do to really help make America great, you got three options. Shut up, sit down, let the progressives go to work cleaning up the mess you created. That's the easiest one. Move to another country, not so easy for you. Or you can take the third route. And I'll let you get creative about what the third route is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's no future for MAGA in this country. Like the damage is done. It's going to take several years to mend, to fix, honestly. And if you're still riding the coattails of Trump, if you're still gargling on his nutsack, like you're just too far gone. There's no hope for you. There's no place.
No,
for
you're
you.
in a cult. It's the
Yeah,
cult of
it's-
conservatism, and that's like, again, one of the running themes that we're all worried about when the pendulum swings back the other way is guys like the Joe Walsh of the Social Contract. Check out my reaction videos of him if you want some entertainment. This guy is a quote temporary Democrat. He was a Tea Party congressman. Now he's come over to the Democrats to help fight Trump with the explicit plan of going back to the Republicans once it is cleansed of MAGA. And I'm like, dude, you're 63. You think that's going to happen in your lifetime? And by the way, MAGA has always been a part of the Republican Party. It goes back to Barry Goldwater and George Wallace in the 1960s. Arguably, it goes back even further than that. Okay. But those are the ones who in the TV era really gave MAGA, what we call MAGA today, a real voice.
Yeah, it all started. That's really when it all started, and then Nixon employing the
yeah, fuck
the
off,
strategy.
dude. Yeah, fuck off and die. That's how I say to you. 'Cause
Yeah, stay
you're in a
triggered, dude.
cult, You're in a cult, and it's not my fault. It's not my fault that you didn't take learning seriously enough to learn about how government and citizen are supposed to relate to one another.
Yeah, keep tuning in. Also, by the way, like you
keep tuning in and tell your friends to like and subscribe
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
No, apparently people are liking my monologue because we're getting quite a few people watching and subscribing as well.
Yeah,
Getting
appreciate
some
it,
new
by the way.
subscribes.
Yeah,
Really
subscribe.
appreciate it, everybody.
Either Big Business, subscribe to Stateless Patriot of the Left Coast. I'm streaming over on my channel as well. I've had a consistent viewership, fluctuating between 6 and 12 people, so I really appreciate that. This was actually I haven't seen a debate in a while. I mean, at least one of this magnitude. Thank you, Oscar. I totally agree. It reminds me of the primary debates that we used to watch and shit. And I mean, overall, like we said before, just to summarize,
That's not true, you fucking idiot. That's
Over-
not true, you fucking idiot.
like maybe
No.
a fifth at best.
No.
at
So
best.
the rule of thumb is 1/3 of the voting public, and then what StatPat's referring to is 1/5 of the adult population.
Yeah.
Because we don't have great voter turnout in this country.
Yeah.
So you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And even if that were the case, wouldn't make you any less evil.
Yeah.
You're still evil.
Yeah.
Trump is a pedophile. Trump has completely, he's gone back on his promise of no wars.
Mhm.
He's
Destroyed the
made
economy.
everything worse.
Yeah.
Inflation's worse. Everything's been made worse by conservatism. That's where I say
Yeah.
I don't want people to stop at just MAGA.
Mhm.
It's the whole kit and caboodle of conservatism.
Because the
Why?
thing, yeah,
Because resistance to change in a world that is defined by change is counterproductive to improving society generation to generation.
and that's the
As
thing.
we've talked about before, the baby boomers didn't care about improving generation to generation.
And the thing about conservatism is, even if it's not like, oh well, I don't agree with Trump here and there, I don't identify as MAGA. You're still going to vote with them. You're still going to vote Republican. You're still going to incentivize them to keep on doing what they're doing because you don't actually challenge them in any meaningful way, even if they are making things a whole lot worse. You're never going to vote fucking Democrat. Like, you're not going to actually you're not going to hold them to account because like they're still a part of your party, and that's the thing. Conservatism is how we got here in the first place. Like we were talking about with Joe Walsh, the Tea Party movement led to the creation of Trump, led to the creation of the MAGA movement and shit. And until that is remedied, it's just this is still going to persist. I mean, if you want,
We support violence. If you're a MAGA, then you're defending ICE, which
Yeah.
is the Gestapo.
yeah,
You know what the Gestapo is? Go Google it. It doesn't sound like you know what the Gestapo is.
yeah, like we are like our entire ideology.
No, so we're
is
not the.
antithetical
Hold on,
to
this is another one.
violence.
We're not, dude. We're not the establishment Democrats.
Yeah,
We're
we don't.
progressives. We're
Here's the thing.
anti-neoliberalism.
Here's the thing.
We don't
Okay,
want capitalism to run everything.
yeah, this is the thing that needs to be made clear to anybody watching. We are not fans of anybody on this stage. We think Tom Steyer is the least bad, but we don't support the Democratic Party. We'll vote for them reluctantly, but we see that they are part of the rot. They are part of the problem. They are the establishment defined. We want to replace the leadership because the leadership of the Democratic Party is a big reason why things keep on. Fucking look no further than the Iran war. This war is about to grind the entire global economy to a
Yes.
halt. Yes, we're socialists. The entire global economy is dependent on the Strait of Hormuz, especially when it comes to imports for Europe and East Asia. Half of the entire world's population lives in Southeast Asia, and they are heavily reliant on the exports of oil that come from the Strait of Hormuz. All those countries, that block of countries there, millions of people are about to die just because of this war that Trump started. They will not have access to food because they need fertilizer, and fertilizer is now unaffordable, and most of it comes from the Strait of Hormuz. They need oil in order to run their machinery for agriculture, and they can't get that because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. The same goes for Australia as well. South Korea will be, mark my words, the first major capitalist country to collapse within our lifetimes. It will collapse within our lifetimes. We will live to see the collapse of South Korea, and this war, the closing of the Strait of Hormuz is going to accelerate that. People just don't fucking understand how bad the situation is. And I said the night that Trump was reelected, I cannot begin to express how bad things are going to get, and this is exactly what I was talking about. But even I couldn't comprehend just how fucked things were going to be. Thanks, MAGA. But at least you get to go like, oh, libtards are triggered. Oh, we get triggered.
So
That's all-
here's
all that matters.
Paul. This is something. The politics of servility are over, Paul. So no need to talk to these two. They can't have a civil conversation. That's how liberalism works. Either agree with me or you're a loser.
we
laugh out
can
loud.
we can have a
So
civil
wait a second.
conversation.
Hold on a second. First of all, we're not liberals. We're progressives. If you don't know the difference, that's on you to figure it out.
Mhm.
Secondly, I'm done having civil conversations with conservatives
Mhm.
or anybody who defends Trump because they are waging war on my country, and I therefore must wage war on them.
Yeah.
That's what all you online conservatives don't seem to realize is that
It's
ICE
over.
is the Gestapo and that you have now waged war on immigrants, on minorities of all different kinds, on women with taking away their right to birth control. And I mean, it just never ends. You won't get out of people's business.
Yeah.
You won't stop. You won't leave people alone and let them live their lives.
This
in
is the
peace and
thing.
Happiness. So I got a problem with that, Paul.
It's
And I'm not gonna be kind to the perpetrators, man. I'm going to hurt them like they have hurt others.
It's the hypocrisy that is really the driving factor here, because you can have your values and whatnot, but if you're voting in people that undermine those values, but they like put a happy face on it, or they double cross you, or they're not actually honest, that's the thing. Civil conversation, you say. Conservatives are rooted in dishonesty, especially online. Conservatives that still defend Trump, still defend MAGA, aren't engaging in honest dialogue, and that's the frustrating thing. That those days are long gone. It's over. Like
Yeah.
you guys have gotten in. You've implemented 2/3 of Project 2025. All this hysteria. Oh, like Trump's not going to be that bad. Trump is doing everything he said he was going to do, and like all these ex MAGA types. That like, oh, I was so wrong. I can't, like, Trump betrayed us. I feel so betrayed. It's just like progressives were warning you about this shit for fucking 10 years. It's just
Yes.
like we are so past the point of like, well, we can just like have a constructive conversation about that. It's just like, no, you guys had your chance. You didn't listen, and now here we are. Everybody is going to have to pay the price. The economy is going to fall the fuck off a cliff because you could admit you were wrong and you were too focused about fucking bathrooms or what was woke and what was not, or what would trigger the libs. Fucking
Yeah. Speaking
like
of
Team
that, Sir
Sport.
Westo, self-proclaimed socialist claiming to be morally and ethically superior is comical. You guys are a joke. Well, I actually didn't invoke that, but now that you mention it, yeah, I am morally and ethically and intellectually and socially and spiritually superior to you. Not because I'm so awesome, but because you're such shit. You're a fucking Nazi. You're white trash. You're an idiot, bully, or coward. You're a defender, if not one of, a Confederate flag waving, Bible beating gun nut. That's what you are, dude. You are the trash of America. So we're not going to play nice anymore. One of these guys said earlier about you can't win a debate with what was it? Let me see. Well, anyway, these guys think that I can't win it, dude. I've been debating conservatives my whole life since I came out of the fucking womb. I know the arguments. They're garbage. It's all greed. America is
all
a
greed.
fucking drug addict addicted to greed. Guess what, asshole? You're not going to be a 1%er. You will never be a 1%er. Ever.
Yes.
That will never happen. You're not smart enough. You're not creative enough. And most importantly, you don't have access to capital to invest in any of your ideas. That's what it takes to be successful. And that's what it takes to be successful in America.
The claim.
So get this idea that preserving the possibility of becoming rich is more important than providing people with the basics. It's fucking bullshit. It's been propaganda that we've been sold for 45 fucking years. If you're listening to this and you don't realize that these problems that we're dealing with, that they were talking about in the debate stage tonight, all go all the way back to Reagan in the 80s, then you don't know your goddamn history. All you have to do is study history to realize that baby boomer conservative capitalism doesn't work and baby boomer neoliberalism doesn't work. The baby boomer generation got us here, and now we got to get them out of the way so the rest of us can clean up the mess.
Right. And it's so ironic that socialists are being you're deeming them as like morally and ethically not superior commenter, when it's capitalism that has actually perpetuated all the issues of today. I mean, it goes beyond the Republican Party too. Like, obviously Reagan was like the worst offender, but Clinton was just Reagan light. He just did it with a happier face.
Pretty much.
And not just Clinton, but God, I forget where I was going with this. It's gone. No,
I'm doing a video recently, so I can fill for a second. The big 5 sins of Bill Clinton: NAFTA, the racist crime bill, cutting welfare for a lot of poor families, deregulating telecom, And the big one, repeal of Glass-Steagall.
Yep.
Okay. Those 4 policy failures eradicate the public memory of Bill Clinton as a good president. All right,
Yeah.
I'm coming out with a
He
video
was.
about that. Actually, I actually already shot the video for that recently, but it'll be coming out soon enough. So
This
we
is
gotta,
the thing
I wanna
about
wrap soon. I'm sick of this
yeah,
shit, but this is
me
fun.
too. So like I'll probably end on this, but if you think capitalism is morally or ethically superior to socialism, I am unable to logically and reasonably concede how competition for the sake of competition or the profit motive being the primary driver of our economy, of our society, is moral or ethical in any way, especially when you have rampant homelessness, you have starving children, you have an uneducated population, you have skyrocketing healthcare costs, you have people who claim to be pro-life but actively support war or roughing up foreigners just for the fuck of it. You're like the entire right wing's whole thing is bootlicking. It's defending capitalism for the sake of capitalism, and there's nothing moral or ethical about it. It's all rooted in hypocrisy. Yeah, and
Yeah, so
that's right, Shah Khan, thank you.
So John, the man, whatever the fuck your name is, I got right-wing religious, right-wing military, and right-wing corporate America in my family upbringing. So I know all the arguments, and they all fucking suck.
Yeah.
Conservatism is fascism, and fascism is evil, and there's nothing wrong with hating evil. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with hating you. Please
Here's
get
the
the
thing.
fuck out of my country, you
Here-
white trash fascist.
Here's the thing, Joe the Fourth Man. I used to almost be a conservative. Like in 2017, I was like, oh, well, maybe Trump won't be so bad and whatnot. That changed the more I actually watched debates between conservatives and liberals. Not exactly liberals, because liberals kind of kowtow to conservatism a bit too much for me, especially nowadays, especially neoliberals.
Eric
Progressives.
Klein, Eric Klein. Just stay tuned to my channel, man. Subscribe for sure, because you're gonna love my next 2 essays. They deal with this.
I mean, him being better than Reagan isn't much of a it's a low bar to.
Well, I mean, what he's talking about here, what I just described, all those policy failures, not
Comes
all
to
of them,
Clinton, right.
but most of those happened through bipartisan Congresses. He's right, but that doesn't make him a good president.
Right.
I mean, telecom alone, Glass-Steagall alone, like these would destroy most presidencies.
We're still
And
dealing with the
instead,
effects of those.
Glass-Steagall caused the 2008 housing crisis.
Yeah.
Telecom allowed for Fox News, OAN, and One American News Network to exist.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And by the way, that was an FDR policy, Glass-Steagall.
Yeah.
Of
Of
All
course.
right, I don't want to keep doing. Yo,
Yeah.
2 wings of the. I really. So this is another thing. 2 wings of the same Zionist bird. Republicans stealing, Democrats hold the bag.
That's exactly
You're
it.
not wrong.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to bring up.
Yo, go ahead.
This Iran war could have been prevented by Democratic leadership, but Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries were like, we believe in this. We stand by Israel. We actually support this war. But Republicans, you didn't do this the right way. Trump, you didn't do this the right way. You didn't start this war the right way. It was a procedural thing that was the problem, not the fucking moral one, not the economic one, not the fucking fact that like everybody who actually knows shit about the region knew that this would happen, knew that Iran de facto controlled the strait already, and now we're here now, and America is losing, America is failing, and Iran is doing victory lap after victory lap, where as the entire global economy is suffering. Our allies, our petro allies in the region, are suffering as well. It's because Trump wanted, I don't know, to like raise his poll numbers because he thinks like a major war would have done it from like a different Bush. He thought he would get a peace prize by removing the leadership of Iran, the biggest state sponsor of terrorism. None of that happened. None of that came to fruition. And now we're probably stuck in an endless war, and it's just going to get worse. I hope you guys are ready for $7 or $8 gas. especially you MAGA
Hey,
type.
by the way, Joe the Fourth Man, dude, don't come to California, man. We don't want you here. We don't want you here. All the best parts of this country are blue. You stupid fuck.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the polls, look at the data, look at the fucking data, look at the statistics. The top 10 states, aside from New Mexico, that have the highest crime rate per capita are all deep red states. I'm good off this for now. We can tune back in next week and
Cornelia,
talk.
thank you for your support. You've been great in the trap.
Yeah.
In the chat. And
Thank you so
then
much.
Steyer says we want to hear, but why would any billionaire want to work in government? Sorry, self-dealing reeking everywhere. Okay, I will end on this note. The reason why Tom Steyer is running for governor is what I said earlier in the show. He knows he's going to die someday, and he doesn't want to go down as just another rich asshole. He wants to go down as a good guy who tried his best to be a good public servant. Okay?
Right.
Trust me, I know successful billionaires, and some of them are actually good people who care about more than just the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like literally the anti-Trump, the nega Trump. Like
Right.
Trump was his whole thing is like wanting to have his name on everything. He wants to have credit for everything. He's a fucking self-flagellating narcissist. Whereas Tom Steyer's like, oh, my whole life has been I've been contributing to negative things my entire life. I want to die. I don't want to be a billionaire when I die. I want to give my money away however I can.
Joe, the Fourth Man, says he lives here in California, which is just hysterical. Well, I mean, man, you must be in the meth part or something like that. If you're loaded, if you think it's
it must
loaded
be
up with
so
crime.
bad. Like I'm so
you must
sorry.
be in
You're
a tough part of the state, dude. It's a big place.
Yeah,
so
man.
Sorry you got lost in the shuffle, bro. But
so
it's
sorry
pretty
you have to
amazing
deal
here.
with. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, so that's a decent point. Shakan Steyer will pull an Obama on us. It's a decent concern.
It
It's
is
a fair concern.
I'd rather him pull on Obama.
Make a list.
Uh-huh.
Make a list of the Steyer promises and hold him to account.
Yeah,
I think he's got more integrity than people realize. But
Right.
again,
And
I've always had a soft spot for this guy.
more potential. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather him pull an Obama on us than a Fetterman. You know, I'm just throwing that out there. But I think he has potential. I think he can do a decent job. He's definitely better than
Yeah,
many people.
Bianco's a Nazi queen of Green 87, and if you support him, then so are you. That's what we'll finish off this little
Coming to
stream.
California,
Thank you guys
Stan,
for
really?
supporting. But all you Trump supporters realize that for the rest of your lives, people can call you white trash to your face, like whether it's in airports or restaurants, bars, and clubs in urban and suburban areas. As soon as people find out that you were a triple Trumper or even just a single or double Trumper, like you're going to have to carry that shame with you for the rest of your life, unless you want to get on social media.
Here's the
repent.
thing. Like, what is there left to defend Trump over? Like,
Right.
what is there that Trump has done, especially this second term, that you can defend that doesn't have some sort of stain, some sort of a negative effect? You know, like he's actively making the economy shittier. He is making everything a lot more unaffordable with his tariffs and this war and shit. We've already gone over this whole stream. Rewatch just to
I
get
know,
through
right?
your guys' head. Just
This is
rewatch.
maybe our
Have
best,
this on
maybe our best
repeat.
stream ever. maybe our best stream ever.
Our best
Definitely
one in a
most
while.
viewed stream ever.
Best one in a
triple.
while, for
Yeah,
sure.
see, I knew it. I knew he was a triple Trumper. What a
You
what
guys,
a surprise!
You guys are
Yeah,
predictable.
what a surprise!
Like we've
You're
heard
a
the same
fucking
shit
fascist.
for the longest time. All right.
WTF doesn't stand for what you think it does anymore. It stands for white trash fascist.
Yeah.
Joe the
W-
Fourth Man.
WTF.
All right, you
indeed.
guys. Thank you everybody
Subscribe.
for watching.
Thank you.
Please, we'll see you guys again right here. I'll be back here tomorrow at 4:00 Pacific, and then Stat Pat and I will be back here again a week from today at 7 p.m. Pacific.
Yep.
On Tuesdays, and watch out for my random video streams where I take on guys like Joe Walsh of the Social Contract, these anti-MAGA conservatives who think they're going to come into the Democratic Party and be catered to. It's like, no.
We should also
Dude,
talk
you're gonna-
about Scott
you ever
Jennings.
voted, if you ever voted for Trump, shut the fuck up for the next 20 to 40 years because
Please.
there's nothing good that comes from listening to you talk.
You
Just
offer
a
nothing
reminder,
of value. Nothing of value at all.
You don't get change in America by asking nicely. Thank you again for watching.
Have a good night, y'all. See ya.